Good evening, everyone. It's Tuesday, March 10th, 2026, and I'd like to call this public hearing on the proposed fiscal year 26-27 budget. This is a statutory meeting that we have every year by which we hear interested parties and residents in town regarding both the Board of Ed and Board of Selectmen budgets as they have presented them to us a week ago today. So Josh has a pad. If you'd like to,
There's only one name. So.
there's only one name. So if you'd like to put your one name on there, and then we would invite you up to the podium to speak. And if you could keep it to,
I feel like I'm always the one person on the list.
Okay. If you could keep it to approximately 3 minutes, that'd be great.
Crystal Hill, CDSP co-chair. Good evening. I'm speaking tonight on behalf of both the CDSP Executive Board and PTO leadership at each school to express our support for the Board of Ed budget for the 26-27 school year. The feedback we received from parents largely reflected an appreciation for the thoughtful, efficient, and well-run budget process this year. The structure and content of budget meetings and materials, along with weekly updates communicated by the superintendent, help parents better understand and engage in the process in ways that felt more accessible than in past years. Parents also expressed strong support for several specific initiatives included in the budget, such as the addition of elementary instructional coaches and a communications coordinator. Literacy coaches will directly support teachers' professional learning and instructional quality, while also helping to reduce the need for frequent early release days, something that many families report to us that they find challenging to accommodate. We also heard clearly that timely, transparent communications is highly valued within our parent community. Having someone dedicated full-time to district communications will strengthen both internal and external communication, benefiting families, staff, and the broader Darien community. The community also appreciated that in order to balance these initiatives, there was a focus on identifying areas where costs could be reduced, particularly the changes made to health insurance. Parents recognize the effort to maintain fiscal responsibility while prioritizing the needs of students and staff and supporting the high-quality education that Darien residents expect. We appreciate the Board of Finance's diligence and careful review of the budget, and we encourage you to support this budget that reflects both thoughtful management of taxpayer resources and continued investment in our schools. Our strong public schools are a defining strength of the Darien community, and this budget represents a balanced approach to maintaining that standard. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Okay. With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn our public hearing. Dan moves. Jenny seconds. All those in favor? Okay. For the record, one of the fastest ones, although not the fastest.
Not the fastest.
Thank you all.
You're fast. 3 minutes.
Okay, so now what I'd like to do, Channel 79, we'd like to call to order our regular meeting of the Darien Board of Finance today, March 10th, 2026. The first item on our regular meeting schedule is always public comment. Seeing none, we'll move on to our one and only transfer. So just maybe reminding everybody about our agenda tonight. We have one transfer, a small transfer that we're going to take care of. And then we have a number of sort of discussion and action items regarding some other transfers and bond resolutions and getting ready for a bond deal. And then we're going to tackle the first few categories of the fiscal 27 budget review. So let's start off with discuss and take action on a resolution, or actually I'd like to make a motion. Actually, take that back. We're going to go to the first item, which is discuss and take action on a request to transfer $6,000 from the Board of Finance Capital Reserve to the Great Island Topographic Survey. There's some material in here that goes over this. Effectively, the $400,000 that we approved to start the design of the roadway and parking spots on Great Island, it was determined that there's also going to need to be a small survey done for the trees in the area where they intend to build the roadway loop and the parking spots. And so this $6,000 is to identify, the specific GPS location of these trees and map them and so they can include them on the overall plan to determine what, if anything, needs to be done with the trees. So, given the size of this, the intention here was to move it from our capital reserve and not have to slow it down and send it down to the RTM.
We were aware that they were going to be using a GPS study when we passed the original 27 resolution, being that that's unusable. We spoke with Jen Chinesky and John and said, you don't need to bring it back to us, just move it through.
Okay, thanks, Jack. So on that, any questions on this? Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to transfer $6,000 from our capital reserve to the Great Island topographical survey project. Jenny moves. Paul seconds. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Okay, now in terms of when we get to the second part of our agenda here, there are two items related to our bonding, right? The first is to adjust the overall authorization that we have, the bond resolution, which was originally in effect for 103, and then I think about close to 2 years ago, we moved it down to 91 odd million, and now the intention was to sort of bring it down to the exact amount that we're going to need, right? In talking with Josh and Jen and John today, and even Jenny, there were a few items on the actual resolution itself. Again, this was just the appropriation and the bond resolution that gives us the power to spend the money. It gives the town the power to spend the money and us the power to issue the bonds. There are a few changes I think they want to make, and as relates to the numbers that are specifically on there, to make sure, since we are sort of closing this out and bond council needs a little bit more time to review that, again with Josh and Jen. So what I'm going to recommend is that we actually postpone action on reducing the resolution by 2 million. But what we will do is move further down here and actually pass a resolution to actually go issue the bonds. So we're going to issue the bonds in the amount that we actually know need to be issued, which is about 2 million less than the amount of the authorization we have outstanding. And then after we issue the bonds and we get the changes that we need to have done to reduce the bond authorization, to basically collapse it, if you will, to zero, then we'll pass the resolution then we'll vote to amend the resolution to effectively cancel any remaining bonding. So we're only going to market for the remaining, we're not going to refinance the entire 49. It's going to be cut down by 2 million that we're going to market, but we're not going to shrink the resolution until we get all the numbers plumbed up. So we're going to be issuing under, let's just call it the amended old resolution, the $103 million resolution, which has been moved down to 91. So what we don't want to do is kind of tighten it right down, if you will, on the screws, and then because they haven't finished all of the accounting and bond council needs to look at it, we don't want to be like $1 over or $1 under and have sort of a foot fault. So we're going to, again, focus tonight on what we're going to issue and how much we're going to issue, and then we'll close out the bond resolution, over the next few weeks when we get it correct. So, continuing in order here, I would, if everyone's in agreement, I propose that we postpone item 2. Jenny moves. Dan seconds. All those in favor? Okay. So now, item 3 on our agenda, which is discuss and take action on a request to amend the appropriation and bonding authorization to increase the amount by $1.705 million $500 to $4,697,300 to $6.4028 million related to the sanitary sewer system project. This is sort of the third time that we've increased this resolution. Basically, Public Works, Ed and his team have been going through our sanitary system and basically looking for either leaks that were caused by roots or aging pipes that allows water, clean water, groundwater to enter our sewer system, and then we have to ship it to Stamford and have it paid for. In addition, they've been doing studies to try to find out if it's not just water accidentally leaking into the pipes, but whether water is being discharged from individual properties into that. So this is effectively an incremental 1.7 million that'll bring us up to 6.4 million to continue this whole process. Ed, do you want to?
Well, if you'd like me to. You're doing
Yeah, I think
something.
it'd be helpful to give a little summary here.
Took a little bit of my thunder, but I'll give you a couple more high points just so you can catch on.
Well, you can correct everything.
No, you were spot on, Jim. Thank you. Ed Gentile, Director of Public Works, thank you for having me here tonight. Representing the Sewer Commission for this special appropriation and bond authorization request. And just to recap, we started this in about 2019, doing the work as Jim has described, some engineering work, and from that engineering work, determining where to do the rehab. I mean, that's pretty much what we're looking to do as the second part of this process takes place. We did about 2/3 of the town so far. We are going to move to the west now and do the last third. We do see some progress in our readings right now. We went down in flows from 15%, 15.17% to 13.67% to the city of Stamford, which means our flow is reduced, which is good. That's the whole idea behind this whole program that we're putting together. And as Jim has mentioned, we have done, this is our second amendment to the resolution. The first two, he has mentioned the total, he has told you 6.4 million. But also add in there, we did use money from ARPA, $1.3 million towards work that we did on our system. And part of the process of doing this engineering, we applied for a grant from the from DEP, a Clean Water Fund grant of about $350,000 on part one of the engineering. We are going to apply again. The paperwork is already in. We're waiting for a decision as we move forward. Engineering right now is about $800,000. We're looking to obtain a grant of $440,000 to cover a little more than half of it. So that's the process we're in right now. This 1.7 will get us to the end of the second part of the engineering. That report will dictate what we do next. It'll tell us the next steps in construction rehab, whether it's lining pipes, manholes, disconnecting, illicit connections, whatever it may be. At that point when we're done, the Sewer Commission, with some recommendations from myself, will decide how to fund them. My hope is that we don't have to bond all of it. The process right now is we're trying to build up our reserve so we don't have to borrow so much money, but trying to balance the reserve account and our bonding is something the Sewer Commission is very sensitive about, and we're looking at that hard right now.
Is that reserve account inside the sewer fund?
Yes.
So that's funded by user fees, right?
That's correct. I'm trying not to increase user fees too much to build up a reserve that we can and cannot use. Is something they've been sensitive. As you see this year, there was zero increase in the rate.
So there's a sentence in here that says the principal and interest for the second amended bond authorization will be paid for by sewer user fees, not through property taxes. Is that also the case for all of the original and first amendment and any further amendments?
Absolutely.
The debt service is funded from the sewer fund, not from property taxes.
That is absolutely correct.
Okay, that's one question. Would you expect, any further amendments? You're about 2/3 of the way through. You know, I know you don't have a crystal ball, but your best estimate, given your years of service, and then a best guess as to what capital improvements might be required.
Just by basing it on what we've just done and completed, we had to borrow another 2.4 million. That's 2/3 of the town. That was an older, aging part of the town. It was the downtown area. That would be, a guess in there, if you will, maybe 2 to 3 million. The amount will be based on what our reserve looks like I just mentioned. So I can reduce the bond request at maybe the next amendment to this authorization.
When do you expect that to happen? Is that in the next 6 months? 3 months, 6 months, a year?
The engineering process is 18 months
Okay,
to 2 years.
okay.
Because of the intense work that we have to do. We do a lot of the work at night, metering flows, because you're not supposed to have any flows in your sewers at night, generally speaking. So that's generally where they do a lot of their work.
Okay.
CCTV work is ongoing too, at the same time. We run a camera through about 8 miles a year. So over the next 2 years plus, we'll be doing another 16 to 24 miles. We have 81 miles of sewer in town. We are required by DEEP right now to do 10% a year. We're 5 years into that program. So all of that was put together to evaluate the sewer systems as we do our work.
And at the town, are we doing all, both private and public sewers?
We're only doing the public sewers, and those 81 miles are ours to maintain and manage. The private sewers, I'm assuming the ones that are on like private properties for larger developments, are the maintenance and protection of the property owner themselves.
But this is, maybe I missed something, this is general bonding, not sewer fund related. Like
So
The debt service is
if we go
funded
to,
by the sewer fund.
if we go to bond for this,
Okay.
right, we would issue GO bonds, so kind of guaranteed by the town. But what we do is we allocate the amount of bonds and the debt service on that to a sewer project. And then, if you will, we bill that to the sewer commission, and they add that to in what kind of determines the rate that we all pay.
So it doesn't add to the town's GO debt service burden. It adds to the overall debt service burden, but,
So it is a town GO bond.
yeah,
But it's just the source of the
funded.
repayment. It's not necessarily taxes, it's user fees
it's
on the
not
sewers.
funded by the, yeah.
Yeah.
But it would come into, it would affect our Moody's ratings and all that. It hits that number. GSA.
Correct, because the town is the ultimate obligor of it,
Yeah.
but.
But the debt service calculation would exclude the debt service here.
It would be offset by a revenue as a
It'd be
transfer
offset
in
by,
from the sewer.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It'll be,
okay.
you'll see there are expense lines of sewer debt service, like there's town.
It's in the public works budget,
Got it, okay.
because it's,
Yep.
As, yeah.
Any chance that if you're 2/3 of the way done, you're gonna find another third of, I would say, expenses that go to the flow? How, I don't know, I'm being helpful.
Well, right now, we are in the,
I just, the numbers are large, how much we're trading in Stamford.
they are, which is why I think the sewer commission is anxious to get the next part started engineering-wise, why we are still wrapping up the third phase of construction rehab. We are just in the middle of, we're just at the beginning of that phase. We're looking to finish that this year, at the same time running the engineering on the other part of town. So we're trying to double down on the time to shorten the time frame to accomplish some really good goals, which is reducing our flow to the city of Stamford.
And is the thinking here that if going through and repairing some of these older pipes and some of the engineering here, like in theory, if you've gone through all the pipes, that'll cut out the non-illicit additions to the sewer system, right? So the only thing that would be left are the,
You mean the non-permitted? You mean the illicit?
well, that which nature causes versus that which is the homeowner's cause. So the only thing that would be left is the homeowner, and I understand like that process is, in terms of how that'll be implemented and fines and so forth like that, is working through the RTM now.
It's making its way through the RTM right now, slowly, but it's making its way.
And in John's thing that you sent around, he talked about if you have a sump pump that's emptying into the sewer, contact us, we have a program to help. Like, are we helping people pay to fix that, or are we just telling them what to do?
I think we're helping them with some really good engineering advice, letting them know that, especially this program that we've talked about is, if you let us know you're doing it, right, the fine goes away. We want to help you put it in the right place. And having a better knowledge of what is actually making its way into the sewers can only help us realize, are we doing the right thing in the field? With all these implementations on the pipes and manholes, and not the illicit connections themselves, but other types of connections, it's going to tell us if we're making a difference. Right now, we have an unknown, and I think it's a large unknown.
Okay.
Jim, can I add one other thing that wasn't said? As we fix what's going through and take out the I&I and the other things, all of us, our rates will eventually go down because we're not processing clean water. So the investment in this capital ultimately has a savings to the users. How much that is, don't know, but it will save money to the users.
Yep. Thanks, Jake. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. I will entertain a motion to amend the appropriation and bonding authorization to increase the amount by 1.7055, going from $4,697,300 to $6,402,800 for the sanitary sewer system project. Dan moves. Taylor seconds. All in favor? Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Doug.
Tongue twister there. Okay. Item 4, discuss and take action on resolution to sell bonds and bond anticipation notes. Mark, do you want to come up? So there's information in here. Mark prepared a sort of an updated analysis of what was 2A
Correct.
in our last one, which is effectively a 1-year deferral of principal, and then level debt service for the next 19 years in the case of the HHR stuff, and 29 years in the case of Great Island, right?
Correct. Are there any questions on the 1-year deferral update versus, last time we talked about no deferral, 2-year deferral, so I believe the Board of Finance discussed the 1-year deferral, which is what, 1-year deferral principal payment. So not having a principal payment in your next year's budget, but the first principal payment would be in fiscal 28.
And I guess maybe starting there, what is the difference between, do you want to just recap the difference between no deferral and the 1-year deferral in this upcoming, in fiscal 27?
So in the first year, the difference, I took the liberty to change the amounts and everything, so the first year difference is 1,370,000, 1.3 million, which in essence is the principal, because you're only paying interest due on the 1-year deferral. The total difference in debt service is 846,000. So the 1-year deferral, because you're paying it off 1 year slower, your added interest expense is 846,000 over 30 years.
And 20 years for the HHR.
Correct. I just in aggregate, in the total aggregate. Yeah. The other thing we talked about was having 2 separate series. We don't have to do that. I spoke to bond counsel because the concern was, did it meet the statutory requirement of level debt service? And talking to bond counsel, they said as long as the sub-schedules, so what we're going to do is we'll run the numbers as 2 separate and then we'll roll it into 1. So they are comfortable. They actually signed off on that this morning. So we don't have to do Series A, Series B, it'd be 1 series, which should help the transaction.
And again, just to make sure everyone's on the same page, the entire project related to 46-odd million related to Great Island will all be over 30 years?
Yeah.
And everything else will be for 20 years?
Including Coombs.
And the parking,
Yes.
the parking lot will also be 30 years.
Oh, sorry.
No, the parking lot.
Sorry, parking lot and Great Island, 30
Yep.
years, everything else 20 years.
Correct.
Yeah, and this sub-schedule is something we do on all of our bond issues. There's always sub-schedule amortization profiles, as you guys see, like in the budget, how we have stuff related to
Schools,
school,
general purpose
debt,
sewers. Yeah.
school, town, and also sewer, right?
Yeah.
So these things always exist.
Yeah. So we'll have, it'll get further broken into sub-schedules. We'll have 20-year and then by each, the 20-year is going to be town, school, and sewer. The 30-year will all be general purpose, all town.
So this is great work, and thank you for presenting it with sort of a summary. I don't know if you all got the summary table. of, you know, comparing what the 1-year debt service versus what the maximum annual debt service after the 1 year looks like. By deferring 1 year, we free up, I don't say we save, but we free up cash flow of $1,376,500. That causes, by doing the 1 year deferral, that causes on average, $85,000 increase to debt service. Your overall change in debt service by deferring adds $846,000 to the debt, but on a present value basis, I took the liberty of taking your schedules and just merging them and.
That's fine.
I apologize.
You need
I
to
sent
see
it to Josh. I'm not sure where it went
Can
after
someone
that.
circulate
Oh,
that?
I'm
So
sorry.
Josh is making a copy of that
Oh,
summary
sorry.
sheet.
Okay.
I can show you.
So Josh is making that. It's one page, so it's.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Because you had asked about what's the present value difference between
Yep.
the combined cash flows of the no deferral versus the combined cash flows of the 1 year deferral. And depending upon what PV rate you use, which would be some blended rate between your 30-year and 20-year,
Yeah.
I picked 3.8%, point
Yeah, I just used the arbitrage yield of the.
of one of them. This costs us on a net present value basis something like $18,000.
Yeah.
So
Per
it's,
annum.
now it's the
Wait,
reason,
no,
yeah, I
present value
understand.
is Just, yeah, not per annum. I mean,
No,
present value.
net present value.
Net present value
Of the
is
two,
18,000.
right, is de minimis because you're weighted more heavily on the, you know, the amount of money, positive cash flow free up that we're getting. So I'm okay with this. There's a few factors. I know that we talked extensively about deferring. Thank you. The way this, so what you did on this sheet, and you have a PV of total debt service at base case bond yield with a difference of the 2.8 million. That's just a difference in, that wasn't what I was getting at. I wanted a PV, the annual cash flow difference. So I ignored that numbers and I did my own, for fun, because that's who I am. So, but yeah, I'm actually okay with this. I think we're moving away, or, you know, in the past, we talked extensively about why we deferred principal in the past. I think I don't want to spend too much time looking at what was done in the past. I know the reasons what we did in the past were very good reasons. I think now that we are looking at a different picture, my concern is $1,376,500 that is not going to be in the budget is a positive thing, given the fact that we still have some capital things coming down the aisle, and it's okay for me to have some breathing room this year. I'm glad, I'm comfortable with deferring 1 year. I'm glad that's the direction we're going in.
That seems really low, that 18,000.
It's the present value of, so it's basically you have all these.
But even if you took 846 at 30 years in a lump, it would probably be more than 18.
It's not, no, it's because you have positive difference in $1.3 million. You have, I'm not gonna, it's not savings, it's cash flow relief in the first year. And then you have incremental small negative amounts over the next
You have to
28
include
years.
that inflow, or, right.
The
versus
first year is
outflows.
weighted.
Right, yeah.
And so.
And it's weighted in the near term.
It's weighted in the near term, so that $846,000 in higher debt service costs on a present value basis because of the first year weighted, it ends up on a net present value basis, not costing, in my opinion, a material amount.
You're paying a little bit more in interest,
Yeah.
Remind me
but
why.
you're paying all your principal a little bit later, which has an offsetting
I
effect.
get it now. I didn't realize the 1.3 needed to be included in the analysis. But
Yeah.
why are we doing this?
Well, I think it's to give us a little bit more room on the debt service curve, on our total outstanding debt service profile. There was talk about the grand list coming in high, but there's also talk about investment earnings not coming in as so high. So in an effort to mitigate a larger jump. In other words, if you don't do it, you've got about $1.3 million more that we're gonna add to,
2027.
probably more, that we're gonna add to taxes. And if we don't need to do it right now, this is more, smoothing out our debt service. I would say we've been gradually smoothing it out, and the 2-year deferral, there's a couple good reasons why we did that. If we do it for 1 year and then maybe going forward next year, you don't need to do it at all. I don't mind that. I think having a little cushion based upon, we haven't really talked about investment income. We haven't really, I know that there's a increased amount of grand list revenue that's gonna come in. I think that's one and done. I wouldn't count on that being there in the future. So it's trying to slow that increase, that sharper incline in total overall operating budget, and that affects the mill rate.
If you think about it, for 20 years, we had downward sloping debt service, right? It was always higher today and lower every single year going forward. So for the last, I think, 10 years now, we've issued flat debt service. And over the last 10 years, it's went from a downward sloping sort of future debt service line, and we've kept adding flat on top of that with this sort of 2-year principal deferral window.
Okay.
Now it's effectively created one large flat debt service line for the next 10 years.
This is what we debated last week,
Yep.
and no
Yeah.
disrespect, but we voted on it. We voted 6-1 to do the 1-year deferral. So we got a lot to go through tonight. I don't know that we want to have that debate again. If you have, that would be my only concern.
I think I'm more interested to know where we're going with
Yep.
this, like, on trend. Are we gonna stop doing this as a go-forward plan, or are we gonna debate it every time? Do we wanna talk about that another day?
Well, I think what we voted on is for this upcoming bond issue in April, we're going to be a 1-year deferral. A year from now, when we're doing bonding again, I think it'll depend on who's sitting here and what the situation is.
I don't think we're making a policy decision tonight. I think
Yeah.
we're making this bond issue decision tonight to give you, some comfort that we're not ruling out going forward. Because you and I were close.
Yeah.
Our way of thinking was
Yeah.
we might need to get off of this, but maybe not just yet.
Okay. So we've talked about the structure. I think, does it make sense to talk about the amount that we're issuing here?
Sure, yeah. So as of right now, this was updated.
This is what we need every time we're doing one.
So that is slightly updated from what was in the packet, just to revise some of the wording.
Just, for going forward, this kind of summary, this is exactly kind of what I was hoping for, and it would be great to have going forward when we're debating, not when we're looking at sizing something, but when we're debating between different types of issues.
Right.
Yeah, to see in one page kind of what the variances are. So thanks.
So right now, as a whole, I believe we are looking at $67,560,000 in bonds, correct?
Yeah.
And a total of, let's see, is it, of course I don't sum it there.
I got you.
Cool.
That's 11.79.
Is it on page 2 of the materials? Or has it changed?
No, the bands have not changed. The
So that's
bands.
1179.
1179.
And then what was the bond issue you just said, 67615?
67560. So that
So-
changed slightly
55,
Different from what's on here.
55K.
from what's on there, correct, as some refinement was done on the projection for how much to issue for Great Island. Essentially, that got
How much was it reduced by?
I think about 50,000 it came down.
Okay.
And were we able to, wait a minute. Never mind, keep
Can
going.
you see that?
Okay, HHR,
Did you add it?
it's on the budget.
Yeah.
That change?
That should not have
That's the $1 million of whether we can.
36. So it's 10,690.
10,690
This,
is,
the vans are 10,690,000. I
The
think some of the.
10,690?
Yeah, some of the pro formas, because of the discussion about that 1.1 million, I added it to be, so, but the resolution's this is.
the
number.
correct number, yeah.
And the vans are 10,690, which is 1.1 less.
Yes.
So the total amount that we're issuing for Great Island in terms of bonds, it's 46.75, right?
46.695.
Okay. And in terms of how you calculated that number, do you have like the breakdown of what's different? Like what decreased by 55,000?
So that was kind of built into the discussion for the reduction of the Great Island bond authorization. So the backup is included, it should be included in the packet. But, let's see.
Was that the one listed up in the front for the resolution
Correct.
authorization?
There should be, it's kind of a broken down, reconciled version of Ed's typical financial report that goes into it, tied out with the summary page. And that kind of breaks down what that.
So that's page 2 of section 2. In
Right,
in our
okay.
agenda, it looks like this, guys.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
up by the, with the,
Got it.
These are not
but
the
I didn't think we
numbers
were
that we're
reducing this
changing.
authorization. I thought we were authorized until these numbers are absolutely.
We're not reducing the authorization of what we're allowed to issue underneath the appropriation and the bonding authorization. This is the amount that we're actually issuing.
So the amount we were issuing is based on basically how much anticipated work we have remaining that Ed still has on the early access. And there was about 50,000 that we had to kind of reconcile to come out with a zero balance, which is the difference between this. So we're not actually reducing any of that. We're just saying that that much less needs to be borrowed for the project. I think that specific number came from, there was a portion that was allocated of the 6.5 million to legal fees that were associated with the initial purchase. I think about 48,000 of that went unspent. And so that's kind of where that was reconciled from.
I still don't,
Well,
I don't
is
see,
this-
here's where we were, here's where we are, and how we get there.
Is this the same packet that the Board of Selectmen went over last night? Because it wasn't correct on their packet either. And we probably have the same spreadsheet. And there were changes happening last night. I watched their meeting.
So this was the original spreadsheet with the amended resolution that was put forward. There was an updated packet from Ed's kind of next month's version of expenses on Great Island, the kind of typical one that you see here.
Yeah.
There wasn't an overall change that moved how much.
It wasn't a net change.
It wasn't a net change. Between the projects, there may have been some shifting around, but no net change that would affect how much we're planning on borrowing for the project.
Yeah, okay, I remember that, yes.
I think one of the
But
ways.
these numbers on this
Okay.
grid were
So I-
changing, yeah.
I would look at this piece of paper right here, everyone, okay? that they sent around. This is like Ed's project list, right? The first column shows everything that we spent to date. The biggest piece of that is like buying the island, and then there was like the traffic circle and 23A, but this is what we've actually spent. The remaining things in the middle column here are what Ed's sort of finishing up with. The super vast majority of that is the balance of 23A. So there's another, we've spent 88.88 million.
Yep.
We've got $1.1 million left to go. You can see virtually all of that is 23A plus a couple other little
Right.
odd things. And that means the total that we'll spend, with a little bit of a contingency down the bottom there, like 100 grand, okay? Which is actually like 60 grand now,
It's
because a
lower
couple,
now, yeah.
couple of these little things have been moved around. It means that the total that we're gonna end up spending for buying the island, the legal settlements, the little bit of work that we've done in 23A is gonna be 89.466.
367.
367.
Right.
So that is what we're gonna spend on Great Island as underneath this authorization, which is, will eventually be kind of canceled when we get done with this. So now you have to think about 89,466, 367. That's how much we need. How much have we raised so far? Well, the only thing that we've raised so far are long-term bonds, and then a temporary kind of holding spot of 49 million of bands. Well, because we don't need all 49 of those bands to fund this 89,466, we only need about 46 and change of debt. So rather than taking the 46 of bands that come due next month and refinancing it with 46 of bonds, we're gonna take those 46 of bands and refinance them with 46 and change of bonds.
49.
Instead of
Sorry,
49.
49 of bands
Yeah.
with 46 and change of
So
bonds.
it's 89
So we're lowering the
plus-
amount.
Yep.
So we're kind of lowering the amount of debt we have outstanding by going from the short-term band to the long-term bonds.
Correct.
And so when you look at, you know, what Mark had on this second page right here, you can see that's why under the bond issue, it's got 46.7 of bonds being issued.
Right, and that,
It's actually been reduced by
Yeah,
55,000.
it's to 0.69 now,
Yeah.
right? So it's like, it went from 46.75 to
690.
46.69.
Yep.
Wait, to 46, what's the exact number?
4669500.
All right, so
What
that's
she just handed out, yeah,
That's
the Great Island portion of the bonds.
Correct.
on page 21. That's the one.
And that's in like the second paragraph?
And and nothing else has changed, which is how you get to 67,565. 560.
Yeah,
And where's the
correct.
contingency money coming from?
So in terms of all of these projects, it's like full 89 million. There's like 60,000 left of contingency to deal with everything from like a couple underground water tanks, some asbestos, and other little sort of cats and dog things that are being finished up on Great Island. And then the largest one, which is 23A, where, we got about
Oh, I see.
900,000, sorry, left to spend on that. So that 50,000 will support all those contingencies.
I thought it was separate, because it was listed at the bottom in detail. I didn't see that it was one line in the total.
Yep.
That's fine.
Okay, so that's the 55,000, okay, get that.
Yep.
55,000 less bond issue. Now what about the note issue?
So-
We're just going down by 1.1 million.
So let's just, if I could, just make sure everyone understands, on the bonds,
Okay.
46.69 is the amount of dollars we need.
Yes.
So one thing, as we think about issuing bonds tomorrow, or sorry, next month, right? Can we have a little bit of a discussion about whether we would be charging you all and the Board of Finance representative to raise 46.69 of proceeds for Great Island plus these other ones?
46. You mean 67 as proceeds?
Yeah, but I was saying specific for Great Island, we want 46.69 of proceeds for Great Island, not of bonds, because
Bond, right.
Right.
assuming they're gonna be sold with premium.
Premium
annually.
sold with premium.
Correct, so
Yeah.
Yes.
I would,
Yes, so the bond number is higher.
my opinion was get the aggregate,
Yep,
and then we can talk about proceeds.
Perfect.
Because we're not
Yeah.
gonna segregate each
Yeah.
one, but it would be. It's gonna reduce the total amount borrowed
Right.
by the premium, if that's what the board chooses to do, right? And I believe that's the way it's written here.
Yeah, the way it's written here is the kind of, the
Principal.
final line of the second paragraph, which amount shall represent the total amount of bonds issued, including any premium received in connection with the sale thereof.
So walking through this resolution that Josh handed out here, the 46.695, everyone understands that's $55,000 less
Yep.
due to what the
Yep.
the update from the Board of Selectmen, of the 91.77. Now that's how much is left in that original 2022 bond resolution after it was reduced. We know that, getting back to this piece of paper here, we only need 89.466.
Yeah.
But so we're just issuing 46 of this higher amount. Eventually, we'll bring that amount down, Josh, right? To the amount that we actually issued.
In a week or two.
Yeah, once
Once we're done.
they get done. But that's why you see a bigger number there, because that just shows what's remaining outstanding after we amended it a couple years ago.
This is semantics, the 91,771,367, that's bond authorization, not bonds.
It's actually, so what is that number? That's what happened to our old resolution. So what you mind, when we pass a resolution, it's really
Right.
both an appropriation for the town to spend money and an authorization to issue bonds in that par amount. So we took that from 103.4,
Yep.
reduced that by 11.6, and now it's at 91.77.
Yep.
So that means the town can both spend 91.7 and it could issue 91.7 of bond par amount, which at a premium, that could mean you end up with 95 million, but you can't actually spend more than 91.7. And we're gonna be issuing an amount that's less by about $2 million.
Okay.
But semantics, does it matter if we say that, in that beginning of the second paragraph, that 46,695 general obligation bonds of the 91.7 bonds or bond of the town authorized to be issued? So that covers the fact that that's.
Well, because
an
this is a
authorization.
bonding resolution,
Yeah,
not what we're gonna get to in a few weeks,
Okay.
both an appropriation and bonding authorization.
okay,
A deauthorization, in essence.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
I'm fine with the bond.
I got you.
So then on the bonds, the other two amounts we're issuing are 5.2 million of 30-year bonds, right, for the
37.
37 West Lot. And again, that's the amount of proceeds we need, right?
Yep.
And then there's 15.66 of other town projects.
Okay, could you now tell us how the note issue is being reduced by 1.1 million? Can you reconcile that? I think you just reconciled.
I can explain that to you.
Thank you.
So I put that in there. Last week, there was discussion about some additional work that might be done on fields or HHR.
Yes.
So I put that in there as the discussion, everyone said, yeah, they were contemplating, instead of putting in the Board of Ed capital, was to put it into this bond issue. So I put it in there to show you, just,
Oh.
but it's not in there. This is just a pro
This is just
forma.
taking it out.
This is the numbers
Okay.
that are being borrowed.
Okay, no, yeah, but the 1.1, so you're suggesting that this chart on page 2, the 1.1 million is not in the language any longer.
It is
So
no longer, no.
that's being removed and punted
Correct.
to a different discussion on a different day.
Yeah,
It
I don't know.
Will not be
yeah.
funded by this bond issue.
Correct,
It may be funded by a future bond issue, but not this bond issue.
correct.
Okay, yeah, that's
Well,
the
yeah, I mean, it's a
reconciliation.
question of if
Yeah,
it's
it's just eliminating the HHR.
bundled within HHR as a project,
No,
or,
I think that
No,
was
we're
to
adding
use
to the
their
note issue.
contingency to fund things, not to add to.
correct,
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
exactly, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Not added to HHR, but spent within HHR's
Yeah.
appropriation,
Yeah, no, absolutely.
yeah.
So if you add the 1.1, the 1.9, 3.6, and 3.9, that's 10,690,000.
But yes, just to be clear, if we issue 11.7, then we're raising enough funds via the ban that HHR can do this extra million of paving. If we don't,
Well, the money still exists within the authorization. They would
Correct.
just be drawing down, basically, and in terms of timing, we'd probably be getting grant money in, so the cash flow would probably be okay.
So if we don't include it tonight, and the HHR committee decides to include it in their project,
It can still be floated within
it
the
just has to
normal.
be funded.
Right.
Future
But
bond
it's
deal.
$1 million. It's
Well,
not like we can't fund it in
Right.
the near term.
Like
out of
any
it.
project, the
out of
general
the general
fund
fund
would
and then
float it
refinance
until.
it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it makes sense to eliminate it tonight.
Yeah.
And then,
I mean, this is really a one-year ban for HHR anyway, to try to push it to see how the cash flow, where the project's budget ends up, and also where the state grants end up. So,
yeah, so we're
Yeah.
kind of financing the state grants with 1 year of bans.
essentially, yeah.
And we're gonna finance, what we expect is for them to, they're gonna do like $1 million worth of paving and so forth. We're gonna be financing that with the general fund.
Yeah, I mean, that becomes
Right,
its own.
yeah.
Yeah, 1
Well,
year,
that's not-
yeah, and then
and
1
that-
year
and
from
that
now,
was
we'll
not-
look at
Yeah.
whatever amount wasn't
Yeah.
covered by grants.
And,
And if they financed, if they did this extra $1 million of paving,
Yeah.
that'll then go into long-term bonding
Yeah.
a year from now.
I mean,
Okay.
cash flow will
you just
obviously.
eliminated the HHR. Yep.
Sorry for the confusion. I
All good. So Josh, do you have like a backup for all of these numbers?
So the
outside
backup
of Rhode
for
Island?
these numbers would be, and I don't have it on hand, but it's the project for issue component of each of the previous discussions that we had. That hasn't changed. The only number on that spreadsheet that kind of broke down how much we had originally issued, how much we had originally authorized, any issues, any grant pay downs, and what our plan is and the reasoning behind that. That contains all the accurate information. The only difference is the amount for Great Island that got reduced by that 55 million or so, 55,000.
So the first paragraph of this resolution, that totals now
10,690.
10,690,
Yep.
even though it, okay. just did that.
So then, you good? That equals that, right?
You need that one too, to get to 10,690.
Oh, you know, I was doing 6721. Yeah, okay,
Yeah, I just did the math. Yeah,
Okay.
the math is right.
okay.
That worked out to the.
That was 4 numbers.
Yep, yep.
Okay. What else do we need to figure out?
So, is everybody comfortable with the bands,
Yeah.
right? HHR plus quorums. And the bonds, we went through Great Island. Is everyone comfortable with West and with the other town projects?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so I think we're good with the resolution, provided that these dollar amounts, say for bonds, but we're gonna be targeting proceeds, right?
So that would basically integrate premium into the total for the bond issue here.
Yeah,
Okay.
And so the resolution that we would be moving in is the one that you
Correct.
passed out to us, not the one in the package.
Correct. The only thing I would say is typically we spend some of the bond premium on cost of issuance. And by eliminating it entirely, that might be a bit tricky.
well, that kind of gets to, typically what we do is if we have an estimate for cost of issuance, let's just say $125,000, then you would gross it up for that amount.
The amount that we receive in terms of premium, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the total proceeds would be 67,560 plus the 125.
Yeah, so the question is, do you want to add the 125 to the bonds, or do you want to add the 125 to the notes?
So the notes would get their own premium.
No, I know, but what I'm saying, do you want to like increase the size of the bonds by 125 or the notes by 125?
So the notes, so talking about bidding, right? So the notes are gonna probably be like a 101. So you're only gonna get about 100,000 of additional proceeds on notes. The bonds is where you get the big premium, right? It could be a 105, 108, it depends on
Yep.
what's going on in the day. So we're talking 3 to 5 million. That's the one that you're really gonna reduce. We're not gonna adjust, because you're not getting that much premium on notes, we're not gonna adjust that. You're gonna have that. In aggregate, the cost, and that's for both, bonds and notes, is about 100 and, I don't know, last year was 100, almost 50. I
Yeah,
think.
it was.
At least the estimate was. It's gonna be, I didn't do it for this one, but it's probably gonna be more because the bond issue is bigger. And the second to largest cost of issuance is Moody's, and they have a sliding scale. So if you leave that 100 in the estimate premium for notes and you add another one, you'll have a little extra, but it's not material in the.
Yeah, but I guess what I'm saying, I don't want to ignore $3 million of premium.
No, we'll
Yeah.
reduce, so the target, because we're solving for X in doing this, right? So when you reduce it by that 3 million, let's say that estimate 3 million of premium, and you didn't take any for cost of issuance, you would just reduce that 67,560,000, you just, if it's 1 for 1, you reduce it by 3 million, but you'll get that premium, you aggregate it together, you'll have enough for bricks and mortar. If you don't adjust it, then you're gonna get 70 million. You don't want that.
Correct.
So if we wanna add a little extra so that you make sure you have the cost of issuance covered, you would make that target number, whatever you feel comfortable with. If it's another 100,000, or 125, whatever number you deem appropriate.
What are the cost of issuance for this?
I didn't reach out to
I mean, in the
everybody.
last couple, we had. like,
It's
in
been
the
about
package,
150.
125.
It's
Yeah.
about, yeah,
Yeah.
the total is about 150-ish. I think last year was a little
So
bit
maybe
higher.
it might be a little higher.
I'd be okay grossing up the proceeds by 125 on the bonds. Otherwise, so,
Wait a minute, Mark just said it could be higher than the last
But
time.
you're getting about 100, you're estimated, you're probably gonna get about 100 on the notes.
Yeah.
So when you aggregate,
Okay.
you'll have that extra.
That'd be 225 in aggregate?
Yeah.
It should be
Well,
one.
since
Should more than be enough.
but when we do this, because what I don't want to do is have too much extra proceeds, since we already have a little bit of a cushion inside it, of 30-year debt, because we don't have an unlimited amount of 30-year debt that we can just, 30-year projects that we can take that on, so. So is the,
So we could spend up pretty much all of the bond premium that could contain some of that, which would not fulfill that wouldn't be enough for all of the cost of issuance, and then spend the balance of the ban premium
Yeah.
to cover the difference there.
but can't you also just redo the ban, like I think last time, when somebody bids, and they bid this much, can't you always go back and adjust the proceeds by a certain amount?
Same way we do I'm just,
Yeah.
You can-
but.
It's just one number, right? So if they come in at 101,
Right, but we'll redo the official statement to say this is the proceeds, so we'll put an asterisk everywhere with that. I'm saying you're only gonna get about 100,000 on
Yep.
notes. If it's gonna be, last year was 150, maybe it's more, and I don't know what you have. Do you want it, I don't know exactly what it's gonna be, because I don't have Moody's fee yet, and I don't have bond council's fee as well. What if it's 150 and you only have 125?
You're not gonna be off like more than 5 or 10, like another.
I don't know if it's gonna be, cost efficient is gonna be 175 or 125. I don't know.
but it's all
that.
formulaic, isn't it? The Moody's fee,
Well,
It's a sliding scale, yeah,
based on the par, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
But I
It's a
don't,
certain number of basis points, right, per par?
I don't think it's that. It's a range between certain pars. It's not that.
Okay.
It's not.
and there's no
5
way
basis
to know
points.
those costs before you go to market so that you can size according to that.
Really, we kind of have estimates.
We have
from-
estimates, but yeah, I mean, we can, but you're putting in the resolution a number.
Okay,
You know, a lot of it, times bills don't come in until
Can
after
I-
you've sold the note.
Exactly.
Can I
So
make a-
you can, it's always an estimate.
Yeah.
Can I make a suggestion, if you guys are okay with this? Let's gross up the aggregate issuance for 150,000. You can allocate it, since we've got like 10 million of bands, and using like rough numbers here, like 67 of bonds. Just take that 150 and gross up each issue like pro rata.
Is 150 enough?
That's close.
I would.
Or 175.
I'd say 175.
Okay, well then 175.
So
and
if
you
it's
just-
155, then we're
Okay,
5,000.
the cost of issuance are not broken out pro rata. That's my, it'll be, it
No,
will
no, I know.
be.
Just take the aggregate cost of
We can
issuance.
fund it pro rata.
Right, and just fund it pro rata.
We
So-
can fund it pro rata, even if it's not
So,
charged pro rata.
like, quick math would say if we're doing 175, just do like 25 on the bands and 150 on the bonds, or whatever.
Yeah. We don't, yeah.
We were already issuing for contingency, would that ever fall into it if we're missing a $5,000 or something?
Yeah.
Yep. And it's within 5,000s, right? So it's,
Yeah.
there's a spinach that might be a little extra.
Yeah.
So just allocate pro rata 175,000, knowing that both of them need to be rounded up, or you round it up by
Yep.
up to 5,000. So we could end up with $184,999.
So and this is a technical issue, I don't know your bond resolutions. Did you just prorata it when you just did that, or no?
No, I did. I was gonna ask you.
Okay. So do you want to just have like an extra, I don't know how you guys want to do it. If you want to add a paragraph saying to total premium of for cost of issuance of 175,000 to be allocated pro rata.
Here, since that why don't we just do this? 175,000.
Yeah.
Have 15% of that added to the ban, and have 85% added to the bond. That's,
Do
And
we
then
need
it's
to
just
fix
fixed
this
dollars.
resolution tonight since we're
Mhm.
meeting next Tuesday?
Yeah.
Because-
We do?
Need it.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, so you have the bond issue, you're basically increasing by 85% of 175,000, right?
Yeah. So are you okay if we round, so I'll make it
Yes.
30,000 for the notes?
Yeah.
I'm just rounding up.
Yep.
And 145 for bonds. Is that just rounding? Because we have to sell it in 5,000 increments and it's just.
Yeah, I-
So, would you, would you just increase this by
No.
145?
No, we're still, our target is a 67 plus the cost of issuance of 145, so we're gonna,
you're gonna
when
increase
it all
60.
shakes out, the three, if it's,
Right. No, but on their resolution, should we just add 145 to that number? Because that
Don't you just
includes
said
and premium
100
received.
So what
50
I'm
grand
getting
is
is
67,
67560 plus 145 is 67705.
Let's see.
yeah.
And the bands go from 10690 to 10720.
Yeah.
Perfect. Nice work, Dan.
All right, let's call this motion. I think we're done debating.
Okay.
You got those numbers?
So how do we need to adjust this?
So the question is, do we just adjust the total amount here that includes
Dan, what was
this
this number right here?
component? And then add a similar component up there?
The bond is like 7705.
I know.
I'll be honest,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not up
I
on
know.
Happy for
I
what it
gotcha.
is right here.
Because on the cover, I mean, just to, like, we're selling 10,690,000.
It's not, it's just an
Right, just thinking of the notes.
145,000.
That's what they're gonna bid.
Plus some of the
They're
other
not
numbers in there.
bidding
It's plus 145.
10,720,000. Right. They're gonna give us premium, and we're just gonna reduce the premium, whatever, they give 100,000 in premium, we're gonna reduce the par by 70,000. Right?
You're gonna go out for bid with the debt, with the
That you,
principal
what you need for,
schedule.
what you need for bricks and mortar.
And then once the numbers come in.
Once we know what the premium
You
is.
can modify a
Yes.
couple maturities
Yes.
to bring it down.
Yes. So I think it's, maybe it's 10,690,000 of bond or notes to be adjusted for premium to include 30,000 of cost of issuance.
So can I make a suggestion? The first paragraph, last sentence, last line, after Gorham's Pond.
Yep.
Can we just say,
Yes.
and 30,000 for cost of issuance thereof?
Yeah.
To,
Well,
Such that the total amount of authorized notes equals 10,720,000.
so now we're going out for 10,720,000.
We just added
We're not.
30,000 to
Yeah.
the notes,
Yeah,
right?
but what
No,
he's
we're not, we're
saying
going for
is-
10,690,000.
Yeah, he's
But
saying
I
not changing the principal amount, not betting, expecting that the premium's gonna be enough to pay for it, and then adjust the amortization schedule before you award the
Oh,
bid.
so
Wait,
don't
the
increase
amortiza-
the amount of the notes or the bonds.
But if it's sold at a 101, just easy numbers, so it'd be 100,000 a premium. You're saying you don't want excess proceeds,
Right.
So
more
we'll
than the
lower the par
30,000, right? So we're not gonna go out for 10,720,000. We're only going out what you need, 10,690,000, right? And then when we get the premium, if it's 100, we're gonna reduce the par by the difference, 70,000.
I think we know what we're going to do, but we have to pass a
So,
resolution.
so typically when we're passing these, we wouldn't be taking into account the bond premium anyway. We would just be putting the par amounts for the projects, and then the premium kind of comes on top of that.
No, understood, but we have to vote on something, right?
Right, so if you vote on just what the project costs are, I think he's saying that we'll be borrowing for this amount, and when he's kind of adjusting his numbers while we're actually issuing, it'll be adjusted for only premium up to the 30,000 on notes and the 145,000 on bonds. And the rest of the premium that we would have gotten would be integrated into how much we're actually
But you
issuing
could-
for.
Well, then.
'Cause the resolution-
Should this have just said up to for each of these?
Well, because I think,
Yeah, that might be,
sure. Well,
well, no,
So we need to pass an actual resolution.
right,
So-
so typically we wouldn't be including the bond premium or COI within this.
like last year's didn't have
It wouldn't include it anyway. So if we're just passing based on what the actual projects are, that would be sufficient, I believe.
Understood, but we have to pass a resolution. So our choices are to either switch all to say amount and instead replace amount with like proceeds, or to just say up to for each one of these, right? And allow you to size it down because we're telling you the amount of proceeds we want or,
Well, if you put up to, then we couldn't go beyond, which the COI would be going beyond that amount.
but we would add plus one, after like Orm's Pond, plus 100, plus
30 grand for.
plus 30 grand in the notes.
I'm not sure that's a necessary change to make.
Yeah, I mean. this-
Okay,
we're
what
getting-
change do you want us to make to this resolution to do what we want to do?
I mean, honestly, we would probably take out the thing that we added here.
No, I think we leave that, with premium, any premium, less $145,000 for cost of issuance. So it's any premium less 145,000, that's on the bonds.
And 30,000 for the,
And then that same sentence, any premium received,
Including any premium received less, in connection with the sale thereof, less 30,000
for cost of.
for cost of issuance.
cost of issuance on the notes. Sorry, I usually don't, I don't get involved in these things. I know what you want to do, it will be done, so,
No, understood, so
but yes, you have to.
Yes.
right.
full confidence you'll be there and hopefully I'll be sitting there like watching you do it all. What I'm just saying is like, in terms of passing
Yeah,
this.
so does that make sense?
So just adding a note, like he suggested, including 30,000 for cost of issuance.
So there's, if you look at the second paragraph, the kind of the last sentence, which amount shall represent the total amount of bonds issued to the end, we would essentially add on to that last sentence, what,
Including any
less,
premium received,
including,
less cost of issuance,
Less
less
145,000.
145,000 cost of issuance in connection with the sale thereof.
I'm a little bit, we're not doing anything we haven't done in every, right, so why is?
well, typically, I don't think we kind of
Got into the new one.
size it down to match this cost of issuance. If we just collect the premium, we would have enough there to just pay for.
But then we
the
have
COI.
excess money. This is
Right.
closing down.
And
This is
we
the
would-
last time.
We'd
we're
have
going
excess
Monday.
money and then we'd apply it to the projects that we had kind of like.
Okay,
Yeah, but
so
we-
just,
we-
all right, so what, you just want to add a sentence?
Yes, we cannot just add, issue more money
No,
and
no,
walk away with 3 million
Right.
because we're not authorized to spend it.
No
right?
one's suggesting that. Right,
So-
So, you just want to add a sentence that says what?
So the last sentence on the second paragraph could be kind of duplicated on the first paragraph, which is, which amount shall represent the total amount of bonds issued, including any premium received in connection with the sale thereof. Is it less?
After any premium received and less cost of issuance,
And less,
after the word any premium received.
right there.
Yeah,
67.
less the 100.
Comma, less
number-
140,000 for cost of issuance, comma, in connection with the sale thereof.
What is it?
Is it less?
Yeah, because you're not gonna, you're not gonna take
Yes, but
the,
if you add 100 and.
say it's 3,145,000, you're not gonna take the full amount, you're just gonna reduce it by 3 million.
Right.
Okay, so this is, I just went and looked at what we passed last year. This is exactly what we passed last year.
Because last year we weren't closing it out. We were happy issuing, as we did,
I see.
49 million of
Yeah.
bands,
You
knowing
cannot
that
have-
we just
I
could
gotcha.
refinance less of it.
I gotcha.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's IRS regulations, there's excess, because
I gotcha.
premiums
You're right,
considered
you're right,
proceeds.
yeah.
It's just a
So
whole-
Even
on-
like the
Beyond my
other
pay
stuff like
scale.
Hanson Road, because we could roll it, yeah.
You just roll it.
Yeah.
So on the end of the first paragraph,
Mhm.
right, you could have a final, you could have a note sentence that says the town, whatever, sold as the note amount, which was 10,000,000.
690.
690. And then Town of Darien bands, which shall represent the total amount of bands issued, including any premium received, less 30,000
Yes.
for cost of issuance
Yes.
in connection with the sale thereof.
But it's got to be plus.
No, because then you're gonna be, as Mark explained, you're gonna be issuing too much debt.
You're
you
reducing
gross
the
up the
premium,
bond-
you're reducing it by the premium, less that 30,000.
What if we don't,
You want to
so let's say
separate.
we don't know what the premium's going to be, right?
No.
Okay, so, so on the bonds, don't you have to, after the third line, the anti-penultimate line right here of the bond resolution where it says Great Island? The third line from the end. Mhm. After Great Island, wouldn't you just say, and 145K for cost of issuance? Then you would change the 67,560 to 67,705.
But then,
And then you'd have to replace up
Well, you know-
to, right?
yeah, you can certainly do that. You can just add a line item, cost of issuance 145. So now you're bonding more, right? We know we're going to get at least 145,000 of premium. We're going to get 3 million probably of premium. So I don't necessarily believe you have to raise the par to borrow more. The whole intent here is to lower your borrowing amount, right?
No, I know, but this resolution says, we're be voting on something that says we will issue these dollar amounts of bonds, par amount of bonds.
Yeah.
Which will create premium way in excess of cost of issuance.
Yeah.
So let's just take one issue at a time. How do we get this resolution when we vote on it to allow us to issue up to this amount or issue less than these dollar amounts that we'd be voting on?
Well, you are. You are allowing you need bricks and mortar of 67 million, right? Or 67,560. You need that for your projects.
Yep.
And then you need an additional 145 estimate for cost of issuance. You're gonna get over, 2-3 million of premium.
The par amount of the bond is gonna be 65.5.
Yeah.
Call it.
So
Hypothetically, if the par amount of the bond is 65.
Well, we're gonna make sure you're gonna get the 145 as well. So you're gonna have enough.
So this authorization that says we need to issue 67,560 doesn't say we need to issue.
How
It says, or does it? So because we're actually going to issue something meaningfully less than 67,560 to get 67,560.
Is there a way
How
to
about
not?
if you said, like, including any premium received in connection with the sale thereof, less the premium applied
Well,
to
that's-
the cost to cover the cost of issuance of the bonds?
Net of any premium,
Yes.
net of any premium including issuance cost. I don't know, it seems to me that whatever wording we come up with probably needs to be run by council. If we're changing wording that we've used in the past.
Yeah.
And you can't leave.
As
But wait a
written,
minute, this authorization, Edmund, this draft authorization, 67,560, this doesn't obligate us to issue 67,560. It precludes us from issuing anything more than 67,560. Is that
Correct.
accurate?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
Then we don't need to
Modify that.
amend it.
Yeah.
Because we can issue 20 under this authorization.
Well,
We can issue 65 net of the premium.
I believe, yeah.
Yeah, but I think you want to have the intent of, in my understanding, once again, I'm not a lawyer, I think you want to have, what you're trying to accomplish is demonstrate the intent of what you're doing, right? So you want, you're netting
It's to
it,
issue notes that result in proceeds of 10,690 plus 30, and it's to issue bonds that net proceeds to the town of 67,560 plus 140.
okay.
Right. Well, that's similar to what Jenny had
Yeah.
laid out. I mean,
But do we need to run that by council before we vote on it, or should we vote on it and then run it by council?
I think we should probably vote on it.
Vote on it.
And then tomorrow morning, we can get the thumbs up, but.
But I think the term, the proceeds, rather than the amount, it's the proceeds.
So there's two ways to do this.
Yeah.
We can change everything to read proceeds here and include the 145 and the 30,000 of cost of issuance as sort of incremental uses in each of these. Or if you didn't want to change that, to read proceeds equal to it, because we're never going to be able, per Mark's comment, to dial it down to the exact dollar amount because we have to go up or down by 5,000, so I'm not sure that works.
Proceeds not to exceed.
Or we could just say bonds, just say up to for each of these dollar amounts. What do we
I
do?
asked about up to last week, and I was.
I don't
thought
think
somebody said you
up
can't do
to, I
that.
don't think is typically kind of
not.
included in here. This is what we're issuing for this project. And this is how much is authorized for the project. I think this is kind of the number that we plan on moving forward with. So like Mark said, I think kind of
So if bond counsel says the word up to, doesn't allow for that?
in this specific one, in the prior, in the normal bond authorizations, when it's up to, when we may not actually spend a certain amount, this is slightly different, where it's how much we're actually intending to borrow, not up to an amount.
So what you're saying we either have to know exactly what the premium's going to be, or we just can't do it?
Well, typically the premium isn't included in this, so we're issuing bonds, but the premium is collected separately.
But Josh, that creates extra tax exempt money that we've collected, of which we don't have an appropriation to actually spend
I
it.
think what happens then.
So it has to be applied to very specific
So if
uses
you generate
because
too
of that.
much proceeds, you make an amendment to the schedule. Before you award the bonds, if you raise too much proceeds, you're amending we're not raising $3 million of extra proceeds and it's going into.
So-
Well, so the last time we
down.
adjusted the par was in '21. So the last 3-4 years. So what happens with excess proceeds, right? What are permissible use of excess proceeds, in which you can use it for cost of issuance, you can use it to apply for these projects, some of them are closed out, or to other projects, or typically to that first, you can use it for debt service.
But before you do that.
I'm just,
Like,
sorry.
but you can adjust.
The projects would have to be-
In the competitive bid process, you're allowed to modify the
Yes.
amortization schedule so that you're not ever going to overissue.
But when we do gain proceeds, they can only be put towards projects that have been authorized for that spending, but we have not issued for those up to the maximum thus far.
Right.
So that's typically what we did. Last year we did for HHR because the authorizations still had a lot left on them to issue for. And that's, since we're bonding for such a large amount of our projects, there's less kind of authorized but unissued projects that we really want to have, $4 million to apply to. So it is probably a bit easier for us to kind of scale back the par based on the premium that we anticipate to get.
Are you saying,
But what if you only get, what if the winning bid's a 101 and I said 3 million and it's not a 105?
Yeah.
But-
I can't guarantee, it could be all at par, I doubt
So you have to
it.
come, all right, so we have to come up with language, or we have to punt this. So it's one of the two.
so I don't think you can just say proceeds, because we'll never be able to arrive at proceeds down to the dollar, have to be at 5,000.
Can see proceeds not in excess of.
So if we are able to say proceeds not in excess of, then I'm guessing we're probably legally able to say par amount not in excess of.
Not to exceed.
So my suggestion would be that we, in the bond paragraph, after the word Great Island, just say, and 145,000 for cost of issuance thereof. And then we increase the 67,560 to 67,705. And then in the bond, in the note paragraph, we add
But why-
after
30,000.
30,000 as another use, and we add the language that says, including any premium received in connection thereof.
I just seems like we are like completely re-engineering this for $175,000 when we're talking about issuing
80 million.
$87 million. I mean, what are we doing here?
So
Just for $175,000?
No, it's not. It's, what we're talking about
This
is,
isn't any different than what we've done. I understand that.
so how did we do in 2021?
I mean,
You may have had money,
I think we had up to in that.
I don't have
I
that.
don't have that either.
Actually, we looked for it and couldn't find it. I looked for it, I
There's a
couldn't find
sentence that
it.
says, including any premiums, it just means that we can't issue any bonds in excess of this number, including any premium associated with that bond.
He didn't do a deal in 21, he did it in 22.
So we could, yeah.
The meeting was December of '21. Sorry.
Okay. So the 2022, let's see what that language is. Dun, dun, dun.
When do we need to have a passed resolution? What's the latest date we need to have a passed resolution?
I mean, we're trying to get this over to Moody's.
Well, can we amend this
Wait,
resolution in a week from now? If it's not materially amended, if it's just meant to say like up to,
I don't know if it can be amended like that after it's been kind of sent to them.
When does it need to be sent? It's like tomorrow?
So the meetings are next week, you have another meeting?
Pardon?
Next
You have
yes,
another-
a week from tonight.
Okay,
Yeah.
so,
But we could have an emergency meeting also, if we
Yeah, I don't-
needed to,
I think
on
if-
Thursday or something.
Yeah.
let's just run this by bond council.
I'd rather get it right and make sure that, rather than vote on something and then it,
Yeah, yeah.
Hang on.
Let's tell you exactly what we want, have bond council draft something. I mean, we've known that there's gonna be premium since this thing was created, right? And we've known that we wanna include cost of issuance. So.
Correct.
Let's get this redrafted. If you need to have something earlier, when are you sending the packet to Moody's?
Well, I mean, 145,000 is not, 175,000 is not going to change their rating.
right.
So I'll send it out with these pars, and then we can come up with the verbiage or the crafting of the words so that it'll accomplish what you want. But you want it, so we want it to reduce the par by the premium, but to include 30,000 and 145.
We just want the total proceeds
Okay.
to be as close to these numbers, plus 145 in one case and plus 30 in the other case.
Yeah.
And you don't want to try to amend the wording, pass it, and then run it by bond council and then revisit
Somebody
it.
comes up with Jenny, what was your language?
Oh, God, okay. It was, in the last paragraph, Town of Darien, which amount shall represent the total amount of bonds issued, including any premium received and less cost of issuance paid in connection with the sale thereof.
No.
Unless
think it is, but I don't-
cost of
Yeah.
issuance of 130,000.
But that still says that we're issuing these amounts right here.
Yes.
And that's his concern, because if we issue 67,560 at a premium, then we're actually, it says we're issuing face amount of 67,560, not proceeds of 67,560.
Well, it said,
But you are. You need to, when they bid, they need a number.
Yeah.
Right?
Mark, can I ask you a question? The last sentence in the second paragraph,
Yeah.
where it says all these numbers are the amount that we're issuing, and it says, including any premium received in connection thereof. Does that last little clause right there mean that all those numbers are proceeds? and not par amount?
That means the 67.5
Will
will
include
include,
any premium.
right.
That's mean, so it effectively, that last clause
Yes.
Yeah, it could be
turns
enough.
the 67,560
Into
into
proceeds.
proceeds.
Yes,
Yes.
Correct.
correct,
Okay.
correct.
Well, then I would be fine, at least for that paragraph, if all we did was include after the word Great Island and $145,000 for cost of issuance thereof.
Why Great Island though?
No, after the word Great Island, because the Great Island is the last use in that whole big, long paragraph.
Is it?
So I would just say,
No, it's not.
No, it's not. It's
No,
the
it's
first
not.
use.
It's the, oh, no,
At
it
the
is.
very end.
Master
Oh.
plan.
No, no, the one.
Oh, the
yes, it is,
development
it
for the
is.
master plan. Okay,
787,
sure.
277 GEO bonds of the 1425. That's correct.
so I would say, after it says, development of master plan for Great Island, comma, 145,000 for the
And-
cost of issuance thereof, and then it would continue on, and sold, oh wait,
But that's in,
Yeah.
I'll say,
So it's and $145,000 for cost of issuance.
So then the par is six.
you're changing the par then.
Yeah, so
Yes.
67560 goes to,
But I don't know why that would be necessary instead of having it at the end to specifically include it as premium.
Do you want to borrow for cost of issuance?
Yes.
Or do you want to
Yes.
take the premium?
no.
You want, so
We-
you
we
want to
just- we
amortize
just had this
145?
We just had the discussion here that the last part of that sentence where it says, including any premium thereof, turns the 67 into a proceeds number, not a par amount number. So now, given that we're adding an extra use after the word Great Island to say and cost of issuance 145, we're going to have to increase 67,560 by 145 because everything will add up to that 67,705.
right.
But he still has to bid, right? It's the number that you put out there.
No?
No?
However, you can tell them how to bid, but the amount that we're going to vote on tonight to issue, because of that last sentence in there, is going to be a proceeds number effectively. Do we
But
all agree on
it
that?
does say Town of Darien bonds.
Yes.
I'm not sure, well,
I know what you're trying to accomplish.
I'm not sure the last part of that sentence gets to where we hope it gets to. It says including any premium received in connection with the sale thereof. Not sure that lowers the principal amount.
Right, if Jim's right, could you not just add including any premium received and issuance fees? Because then they're both netted out, like.
Well, then our choice is, if we don't think that last little clause right there turns it into a proceeds, our choice is to continue to add in that little 145 after the word Great Island and put up to before every other number in here.
No,
Or,
I think it turns it into proceeds.
what?
I think it turns it into proceeds.
Can you just
That's
throw
what I
in
think.
I think it does turn into
the cost of
proceeds.
issuance into that?
Well, let's try it. We have to land on something and
Yep.
move on. We've got a bunch of more stuff we've
Yep.
got to get to.
Okay, so
Let's try that.
I'm going to add that, and that, and what do we need to make the changes to the first paragraph?
It's, I think just mimicking that sentence, that last.
This number goes
Yeah,
up.
you just need to add $30,000 for cost of issuance. Although those are estimates. These other numbers are real. The 30 and the 145 are
Okay,
estimates.
so after the word Gorns Palm Dam, we're going to say, and 30K for cost of issuance.
Because it's going to be net premium, and we don't know what premium is, could we not just say, and the cost of issuance, because we don't know what that's going to be either, and net them both against it?
Yes.
The note one doesn't have that language.
Well, let's add it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm saying, I add that,
No, but we don't need to add, to Taylor's point, we don't need to add the 145 and the 30.
because we can always reissue.
No, because it says including any premium, she's saying including any premium and cost of issuance. So the premium is TBD and the cost of issuance is TBD. So that 67,560 will be after taking into account premium and
Those
cost
two
of
things
issuance.
that we don't know.
But it says any premium received.
Right,
I guess.
but we won't receive that premium because we will apply it to the cost of issuance.
No, we'll
So-
receive the premium. We still get paid the premium.
Still, you just won't pay debt on it. Because they give it to you at closing. You're not amortizing.
I think it's kind of confusing adding like a cost, a use right after the word premium, but either way, the only difference is, I think it's probably safer to add 145K.
Yeah, but what if our issuance cost isn't 175,000, it's 130,000?
And that's why we're just saying add 145.
But we're adding 30 up top, so we're adding 175.
Well, then say add up to. I don't know, I didn't draft this, so.
Can we say 67,560, which amount shall represent the,
Yeah. I
does
mean,
it have to say total amount of bonds issued? Can it say the net amount of proceeds received? Probably not.
I'm not.
Can it say the net amount of proceeds
I'm
received?
not sure either.
Okay.
Yeah. Project costs not to exceed, including.
I mean, we could just table it and then get it cleaned.
Why
The
don't,
easiest thing to do would just be to put the words up to in front of both of the amounts, and then that would be fine.
can I make a suggestion? We have so much stuff to do, and
Yeah.
like, we saw this like an hour ago.
Yeah.
Why don't I'll work with Josh, and maybe Jenny can help me. We'll
And
get this
council.
in
And
council, and we'll just have a special meeting if it needs to be done in the next, tomorrow or the
Prior
next day.
to a week from today.
But, right,
We
correct.
can have a
Okay.
special meeting with, I think effectively,
24 hours.
24 hours
notice, I
notice.
believe.
And then, are you okay with that? And would you send this to Moody's, or would you wait until our special meeting?
No, I mean, we have the rating next week, so.
You can wait till
I could
Thursday.
send them a draft of the POS that.
It just says
you know,
draft on this.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, it's always a draft.
yeah.
Yeah, okay, all right. All
Yeah,
right.
we'll get it
So we
hammered
are-
out so that everyone's comfortable with it.
so I'll entertain a motion to table number 4 until we get the resolution to reflect what we need to do. Now we have 4 different budget topic areas.
Yes, so we need,
Move to table.
Oh, move the table, Jenny moves.
Second.
Dan seconds, all those in favor? Thanks, Rob.
We lost Jack, I think.
We'll just talk in the morning. Good evening, guys. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hey, Mark, maybe you can just work to set up with Josh as soon as you can tomorrow morning. Let's just get a proceeds table that makes it very clear what we want to do. So we're all set on that, and you can just have the council draft it.
The thing is, I don't know what the premium's gonna be, so I can't.
No, a proceeds table, so just,
Project cost.
You do.
Cost of it, if you want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will. That's okay.
Project cost.
uses if you would, yeah.
Uses.
So first item to discuss here is Public Works.
I have that. You want me to start?
Yep.
All right. So Rob and I reviewed this budget. It's if we start at the expenditures, it's going up 5.4%. And, there's not.
Do you want me to pull it up on the
Yes,
screen?
please.
Sure.
Overall, there's not really anything, different and unusual about this budget. Just quickly, each section, the first one is, Public Works Management and Engineering, and that's a small piece of the budget. It's just wage increases. The second piece is roadway and walkway maintenance. That's going up 2.8%. Mostly because of an increase in electricity and ice control materials. The next piece of the budget, waste management, is the biggest increase, 8.7%. There was a change. They're now taking credit cards for the large haulers, and we just are a very popular dump. So we still have by far, a huge increase in volume. So that's why that expenditure line has grown so much. Next area, public building management, went up 4.6%. Again, cost of electricity, heating, fuel cost. There was some maintenance cost that was a driver. And then parking operations and maintenance went up a lot, but that was because of the Coons lot got rolled in. And that was the addition. There's credit card fees now, electricity in that area, and telecom. So that's why that has some new things. Correct me if I say anything wrong, Ed, but that's all that there is to talk about in expenditures.
Can you tell me, so
Yeah.
is there a single page that shows that the Public Works is up, whatever percentage you said
Sure,
was up?
so if, on the
Yeah.
summary page,
Where's the summary page?
Also, if you collapse all that,
Yeah.
you can see it. If you collapse all those columns.
So on the detail view,
So wait, so hold on a
Collapse.
second. So for us to be able to do this on our laptops rather than see it here.
yeah,
So I'm in the fiscal year 2027 budget file. What document do I pull up? The budget, the recommended
It's-
budget?
BOS operating budget review.
yep, so the
Yeah.
most recent one was emailed out to you, or to the group, a couple weeks ago.
I'm in whatever the,
The intranet.
yeah.
Is it not up on the portal?
It is
Yeah.
up on the portal as well, but it's a
So-
slightly
I can send it
outdated
to you.
version
No.
to this one, yeah. But it would be the BOS/BOE recommended.
Budget,
Budget.
PDF?
That's the one
No,
I'm,
there should be
that's
a,
the one I'm
spreadsheet.
using, the one
Okay.
that's on the internet.
the PDF should still have.
No, I'm not on the PDF.
You're on the
I'm
Excel.
Yeah.
Okay, so there is the Excel version there as well.
Yeah, and so if you look at the top line expenditures, that's where you can see the total, you can see the total percent change.
Oh, okay, so it's on the first page. I'm on the PDF, but it's on the first page, so.
Yeah.
So Public Works, as you said, it's up 5.4%,
Yes.
an increase of $303,446?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right, moving to revenues. Revenues are up 33.2%. First area, Public Works Management and Engineering. We just talked about the sewers. This is where you see all the sewers, the sewer in and outs. So this is where the debt service Taylor comes in and out, is here. There's some this is where the town aid grants come in and out. So this isn't really an interesting area because there's not much that can be controlled here. Waste management is up 24.9%. There's an increase in the rate of tipping fees and also the use of haulers using our waste facility. There is not any revenue for recyclables. You can see that went down to 0, but we pay less for our waste removal, our solid waste, because we have recyclables.
So that line got, I believe, combined with the
Yeah.
MSW.
Okay, yeah. Well, we don't
It's
get
a
paid,
yeah.
but, yeah. Okay, next, public building management, there's nothing there, 0. And last is parking operations and maintenance, went up a lot, but that's because Coons went in there. And Coons, and the assumption here for the budget is that, that lot stays at $10 a day, and that none of the other lots change their pricing structure. So, I don't know if that will continue, but that's the assumption in this budget. And then, do you want me to do capital?
Yeah.
Capital?
Let's do the
Okay.
capital alongside that.
All right.
Elaborate.
Okay, so capital, let me see where that is. I have to find it. I had it. Oh, yeah, that one's a PDF. Okay, the capital is, there's a lot of capital, but again, it's, the capital request for Public Works is 5.5 million. There's a lot of small items, like typical items, like there's some big items that are typical items like sidewalks, paving, tree replacement, small capital. There's the things that we should probably talk about are that are new things. There is 2 million in there for harbor channel dredging. I can't really speak to why that needs to be done. It needs to be done. I will say the sediment is clean, so it's not supposed to be as expensive as dredging can be. It's not supposed to be as expensive as it was at Pear Tree, because they just have to take it into the sound, so they don't have to pull it out and treat it. It says 2 million, and that's a placeholder, so supposed to get more information about that, I think, before the budget is solidified. Is that correct?
That's what I was told.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a new project in there.
But on that, in terms of isn't it, they need to keep testing it as they pull it up?
Once you take it out of in situ and put it on the barge, you will have to test it one more time.
That's so so even though we did test borings and it says it's gonna be 2 million, if we start taking it up and we see something else,
There's always that possibility, sure.
Does the 2 million assume that it's clean, or
Yeah.
just kind of a midpoint of if we don't know?
The 2 million, I don't know how they came to it, but it was based on the test results coming back.
And who's they?
I think the first selectman had put this in the budget after I had submitted my capital.
yeah, I think John said this assumed it was clean and therefore all could be taken out to the sound and laid down
Correct.
rather than being chipped
Right.
away.
That's correct.
So it's, okay.
And
All
this is a
right.
bonded project, so it wouldn't have an impact on it.
Yeah, okay, so other new ones, this bridge over here in front of Town Hall that leads over to the gym needs to be worked on. That's $100,000. There's some work that needs to be done on the Camp Avenue Bridge. That's $120,000. There's some HVAC upgrades that need to be done here in Town Hall. ×2, like both sides of the AC are really apparently barely working. That's $160,000 ×2. Then there's also HVAC and a water heater in the Mather Center that together are $105,000. Then there's a dump truck. That's a replacement schedule that they've been doing for a while because they have really old dump trucks, but it's expensive. It's $275,000. But he's been spacing that out. And then the only one that it's small, it's $75,000, but there is another employee added, not in this budget, but in the fire marshal budget. And that means that fire marshal office needs to be renovated. And so $75,000 of renovation is in this budget. So, but I didn't talk about everything. So, but those are the highlights here.
I have a question. You have priorities. You've labeled them 1, 2, and 3. Are you comfortable with listing all of these in here for this year that you can get to it all this year? I don't want to create a bottleneck for you, give you money that you can't spend.
I struggle with that every year.
Yeah.
And trying to balance
busy, so.
trying to balance the projects that we really do have to do.
Okay.
Just maintaining this building
Sure.
is a chore, but what's been beneficial is that I have 2 really good guys that work on it for me and have now been able to put bids together to continue to do that work. It used to be I had to do the bids myself. Now I have a couple folks that actually can get that done for me, so we've been moving along those process. The big ticket item, of course, is the paving. That pretty much almost runs itself now. We have a really good process in place, and a really good.
That's a number one priority too, so. I'm just looking at like some of the threes in here.
Mhm.
I'm not against carpet replacement. Do you, is that something you definitely are gonna get to this year, or is that, I'm not objecting to what you have in here. It's just more, I wanna make sure that the timing of you being able to spend this money is gonna happen in this, this fiscal year.
Carpeting's a good one. We actually just met about 2 weeks ago with the carpet guy, measured, got some solid prices. Now we're just waiting for the
Okay.
funds to be in place.
Okay, so you can get to this stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, even if it's a 3 priority, okay. I just don't wanna create bottlenecks of work.
I don't either.
If Rob's still on, maybe, I don't know if Rob has any comments, but, I don't.
Couple things, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Give me 1 second.
And when was the last time we replaced the carpet in those second floor and first floor offices in town hall? I feel like it was like less than 5 years ago, or is my timing off? Or did we put?
I'm sorry, we have done some of the rooms, Rob, and as we go through and pick out offices that we're either, people moving out of them, we have a chance to paint them, whatever it is, the carpet's usually the last thing that we do. We've been prioritizing based on some of the conditions of the carpets too. But I've never been able to do one entire floor at one time or one entire suite of offices at one time. It's just not possible. So we've been slowly trying to knock them off as we go through this building and people move in and move out.
And then, Josh, can you go up a little bit? I think there's 2 different things for sidewalks here. There's new sidewalk
Yeah.
and then rotation for sidewalks. So you see this, so we have 250,000 for new sidewalks and 50, almost our usual maintenance usually do. So, and do we know where the 250 on the new sidewalks, is that the committee that's gonna figure out where to put them, or do we know where they're gonna go already?
The number I came up with there is I want to call it a placeholder, but it probably isn't. With the need to address some of the new sidewalks, like putting them where they aren't currently, we're going to need a little bit more help than just me going out and laying out a sidewalk. There's going to be topography that's needed, engineers that's needed. There may be easements or title searches need to be done. So I put together some funds to be able to do that once the group that's for the PAC 2, if you'd like to call it, or whatever they want to call themselves, or John puts it together and calls it. That group is going to come up with suggestions or locations to do such this type of work by December. That was the goal and target from what I understand. So this money will be there in place to continue to move those projects along.
And we put money aside for a sidewalk consultant, didn't we?
I believe there was 20,000 for the initial sidewalk consultant that's going to work with the PAC group.
Yeah.
And lastly, on the dump trucks, how long generally do they last? I see one for 322, another one for 2930. So generally, how long do they last? Is that like a 15, 10-year one?
I'd like to see them last 12 to 15 years. That's the general consensus with some of these. And I'm on the 7th one right now, so I'm going to be replacing the final big trucks that do most of our plow work on the major roadways. We've also been replacing the smaller dump trucks as we go along also. And that's what you're looking at here right now too.
That was my, thanks very much. And Melinda, thanks for taking the lead on this.
Back to the sidewalks, the 250 is in addition to the 1 million, or it's supposed to support the 1 million that's being requested by John?
I didn't know he was asking for $1
No,
million.
it's,
so.
together it's 1 million for sidewalks,
Yeah.
together.
So what's the 250 then?
250 is for new, 750 is sidewalk rehabilitation. It's in 2 separate line items.
So when John made his presentation the other night, he showed $1 million as a placeholder for new sidewalks that would be determined by this new committee.
It's not,
It's not related to this?
it's not in the budget yet. If there's another million, it's not.
So the 250 is, can you just tell us again what that's for?
There's the PAC group that they're putting together. And once they make a determination on where they'd like to investigate or start design work for new sidewalks, we're going to need engineers, legal counsel, and survey work done. That's the 250 to address those costs that are gonna come up.
So John's really asking for 1.25 for new sidewalks.
Not that I'm aware of.
We're talking, PIAC is the committee he's putting together.
Correct.
Am I crazy? We saw that in the budget presentation the other night, right? Where is it?
I don't think the million is that in this year's, or is that in a future one? I think it's,
Isn't there $1 million in the cap? Can you pull up the capital budget?
For which department are you looking?
Isn't there one capital
No.
budget for the entire thing that we have?
no, this is,
So it's by department, so this
By
is
department.
for DPW.
this is just DPW.
If it was sitting anywhere, it would be sitting in this department. I don't think it would be anywhere else.
Yeah.
I think Lynn's right. I think if John's talking about $1 million, unless I'm wrong.
Page 59 of the PDF, capital here. You can just look at my page. That's the public works capital budget.
Paving down by
1.4, which is the same as last year, basically.
yeah.
That's not sidewalks. She's talking about sidewalks.
So, at the-
Rehabilitation,
so-
750.
That's,
New sidewalks are 250.
yeah, which is up from last year.
So it's 250 this year proposed to spend
Yep.
on new sidewalks.
Yeah, the sidewalk rehabilitation has been an ongoing thing, and then the 250 is is the new thing
Might
to
be
try to support the
part
work
of
of the committee.
John's sidewalk initiative, but not all of it.
Unfortunately, I didn't get to hear what he had put out there. The only way you get $1 million is if you had the 750 and the 250 together. Maybe he said, we're gonna put $1 million towards sidewalks, but I did not hear exactly what he had said.
yeah.
That would make sense to me if he had said
Yeah.
something like that.
I,
We put
I missed it too, I'm sorry.
We put 750 aside every year for maintenance, right?
I
Yeah.
change it based on the ability for me to get work done. So I have to balance that, and no reason to have money sitting there if I'm not able to get contractors or get to the
Yeah,
work.
he
But I think-
aggregated it's the $1 million
There you
of
go.
sidewalks is aggregated 750 plus 250. It's just, he just put $1 million in his capital budget for sidewalks.
But we have like a balance, like this is.
For which one?
I think when we look in the project funds, right, isn't there a balance out there? So not every dollar that has been approved in the current year that we're in and prior has been spent yet, correct?
I will finish, I'll have about $90,000 left of all of the sidewalk rehab money that
The
that
cumulative
you've
amount.
given me over the years. That's why the 750 is being requested this year.
But that hadn't that been building a little bit?
It did, it
Yes,
did.
yes, we're kind of catching up now.
And we're just catching up.
Sorry, what was the balance you said?
90.
About 90,000, I think, when I'm done, before July 1st, or somewhere around July 1st.
These, I'm sorry if you missed, but I was scrambling for the spreadsheet. These town hall rooftop replacements, they're priority 2 and one of them's priority 3.
Are they kind of near their end of their life, or is there a reason they're not more critical than?
The priorities that little matrix that we use, that's where it falls on the 2. On my list, it's a 1,
So
both of them.
are they failing?
They've failed the last 2 years, one year, one the other.
These are the 2 at town hall,
Yeah,
west and east.
West and East End.
And you're comfortable with these estimates? We found at a club I work with that a replacement estimate was woefully light for what it actually cost when you brought the new rooftop unit on and then upgraded wiring associated with it and maybe some panels, et cetera. And then, of course, you got to get it to the roof and you got to get the old one off the roof.
We were very fortunate to put the exact units on that building on the Mather Center about 2 years ago. Crane, electric, bid out, it was running around 135 total cost. So I did add in some contingency in there on those two requests. Just in case it gets pushed out a year or something, I have something to carry.
How large are they? Are they 5 tons,
30.
7 tons?
30,
30,
30-ton units,
30 tons?
yes.
And are these the same units that would be replaced at the same time for the fire, for the police department? Are being proposed as well?
I wasn't aware of what they were proposing over there.
I believe that they wanted to do them both at the same time, so they had the crane already in town.
I think Jen pushed that. But these are not fresh bids. This is your estimate of inflation since 2 years ago?
I'm sorry, I didn't,
The 160.
yes. That is I'd call it a very, very safe estimate with a contingency.
Installed cost.
Correct. Old one's taken off, crane in place, and the electric work.
Yeah, the police have 465 in there for rooftop AC condenser units. I think Sharon said she was talking with, Rob, you were with me, right? I think she was talking with Tony about
Okay.
coordinating the replacement.
They've all, using that crane to put them on all, both the police and the town leads, which
Is it possible to schedule the replacement all at once so your crane costs can be minimized? You don't have to call them in and then call them in again?
Yeah, I
Moving-
think,
I'm sorry, moving AC units these sizes off roofs, moving them to the side, you have to actually do a little bit of handwork, if you will, moving things around. It's not just a pick and drop. The idea is to make sure that you get a full day out of your crane. Whether it's 1 pick, 2 picks, 4 picks, but making sure you set it up now. If we do 2 facilities like this, we're gonna have to bid them all the same to get the same contractor, so that we get the same crane company. But that's something we'll coordinate, of course, with the PD and Sharon to make sure that we get the best bang for our buck when we put it out.
yeah. And Sharon said she was already talking to Tony about that.
yep.
Okay, any other questions on Public Works?
I like the trajectory after 2028. Seems to be going down. Your projected capital looks like we're in crunch time of getting some major projects done.
I like the 6-year plan. I struggle with the last 3 years usually, but I do try to give as much advance notice on things that we're working on. As those rooftop units, a perfect example, I did have them out 2 or 3 years, but after what's happened in the last 2 years during the summertime, I was asked to move them up to get them done.
We're gonna get to a financial review later, but while we have you here, how is snow removal cost versus budget this year?
Salt has been difficult to obtain. And in making sure that this town has the proper surfaces to drive on, we usually get a price about 80. We're at $81 a ton. And when our supplier did not have salt, I had to look elsewhere to make sure that we had at least enough to carry each one of the storms as they were coming up. So I was paying about $130 a ton. I mean, I was buying 100 tons at a time, trying not to fill my salt dome, but make sure I could handle a storm or two. And we had to do that twice. And we're just starting to get salt now at the other price to at least fill us back up a
And
little.
then overtime, I assume you guys had,
You know, it's, it looks like we're okay right now. I'll take another look at it again. I usually do it monthly as we get past January to see how we're doing. But we were okay about a month ago, but we've had a couple larger storms, some of them on Sundays. A lot of guys take comp time too, which, you know, I know it doesn't hit me now, it hits me later, but as far as workforce goes, but that kind of a balance kind of helps out.
Am I crazy? We didn't do anything with the fire marshal last year, did we? I'm just looking to see why.
We did a ceiling and outer room project. The ceiling was the older tiles that were kind of
Yeah.
falling down.
I thought that
So
was this year. Okay.
we took the ceiling tiles down, we painted it, we put new carpet in, and we put them back in their space. That was the initial room. Have you ever been in the fire marshal's room? There's actually two of them.
Okay, so this is a different one.
This is the secondary one.
Okay.
And this is to accommodate the
Another
proposed new
person.
hire, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had to make an area for one desk, and now we have to find a second one that's in there. And that was 85,000 in there. I think I put about 10 grand in for an architect to help us with, because I want to do mechanical work in there. We did not do it when we took over the IT room that they're in right now. And I want to make sure we get proper ventilation in there and close off some of those offices, because the chief actually doesn't have any privacy in his offices there. So just those type of things to make that a proper office
So,
area for them.
And I assume you should hopefully be about to go home. So I want to, because we're going to cover some things after the budget. But one of them is that we're going to close out some capital projects, one of which, and I remember debating this a year ago or a couple years ago, there was a $75,000 to repair the nature center driveway. And you're returning all but $67,500 of that. That's Public Works, right?
It's
That's
Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec.
Okay, never mind. Because it was not needed, and I just don't understand if it was proposed and then not what, all right, sorry, I'll say that.
I honestly think they did some repairs,
Okay.
from what I recall.
Okay, any other questions on Public Works?
No.
Okay,
Except for our thanks for another
yeah.
year of a job well done.
Did you also want to go over sewer, parking, and Great
Yeah.
Islands?
I'm here.
You want to try to tackle one of these here, sewer?
It's on the list, right?
Yep.
So,
No, that's okay. You can't see the clock from here.
that's why it's behind you.
Yeah.
Who's got sewer fund? Doesn't sound like the lady who sewer fund.
Who has?
I'm looking it up.
Doesn't look like it was assigned.
Maybe it's Rob.
Maybe it was me and Rob, that didn't get the memo.
I don't think it was on the,
There's a, let's see.
I don't, yeah.
There's a schedule in the January.
it's right here.
Oh, there you go.
It's not on there.
No, the sewer and parking fund weren't allocated to anybody.
Well, I mean, listen, high level, you know, this is a net zero sort of
Right.
account, right? So our expenditures are up by about 15%, right?
I have notes from when I watched the Board of Selectmen meeting. I can look and see what they said. And we also have Ed here. Assumes current rates and volumes. I don't think there's much in the expenditures and revenues
The biggest changes are
in the capital.
the transfer to the general fund
Right.
for debt service, as well as the transfer to the
For
capital
capital.
projects fund as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
You don't like the payment to the city of Stamford in there too?
They just solved for
2.8
it,
million?
Yes.
to
Should that be added?
zero it out.
Right.
Halfway down?
That's
Oh,
why
right
this is
here.
a zero.
that's the biggest component of it is the payment to the city of Stamford, which is 2.8 million, which is down from last year by about 300,000.
Yes.
And why is the contribution to the fund balance up so much?
Just as it has to be a zero, net zero between revenue and expenditures. And since the revenues for the fund are kind of projected to be, I guess it was, 700,000-ish to the good, we have to add an expenditure line within there to offset that. And so that's a kind of anticipated or budgeted amount that would be contributed. It's obviously not kind of a real number, it's just a budget number. And some of that is basically to be sent either to the general fund for a debt service or to the capital fund for capital projects, or to help, I guess, support the I&I study moving forward.
So their operating surpluses need to go to the general fund to then be first used for any capital.
So it's contributions to the sewer fund balance, not to the general fund balance. So this
Okay.
lives within the sewer operating fund.
But held for capital, right?
Yeah, well, held for any uses that the sewer would need. Yeah.
And their capital is on page 91 of the capital document. And it's a pump replacement equipment. CCTV, cleaning, like, it's pretty self-explanatory, and plus Ed's here if you have a question. $310,000.
And where is the debt service for the sewer projects?
So the expenditures live within the general fund, and the transfer, it should
It
be.
was in that, so that, it
So that's
was in
the
that
revenue.
area that I said, it was in the, Public Works Management and Engineering, where it comes in and out.
That's where, right, so that's where the money comes into the general fund. It comes out of, under the debt service department, so to speak. And that should be in line with.
Is it under admin, or where in the sewer budget is that?
Let's see. Oh, in the sewer budget, it is under general overhead and miscellaneous expenditures, under the account transfer to other funds. It's the 115,000 and change transfer to the expense, which is a transfer to the general fund.
Got it. And how is that versus prior years? Because we don't have.
So I'd have to look at the debt service schedule specifically, because, within that one account, there's also the amount that gets transferred to the capital projects. Well, I can tell you, hang on a second, let's just see. Because it just goes, it's a one-to-one with the debt service for sewer. So if we just look at sewer here. Let's see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Questions asked and answered. I can see it inside the debt service.
Yep.
What's the 125,000 capital, the new equipment replacement?
None of us has done any work on these.
On the
We should punt these.
capital page?
Just talk about great hour.
On the, for sewer, 310,
Sewer.
Yeah.
the 125 is equipment replacement. It was,
Okay, capital requests, none
Well-
of which is, so we're ready, and just because we assume somebody else will.
Guys, why don't we do this? Why don't we table sewer for right now? I think
Okay.
there's some capital requests we can go through, and why don't we skip over the parking fund and just talk about the Great Island Management Fund? We can finish that one out now.
And then, well, and defer the discussion on those two
Yeah.
to,
We'll figure out whether
We have
it's
dates that we
Tuesday
can
or
add
we'll
into.
find a date
Yeah.
that works for it.
and we won't need Ed back.
Yeah.
But is anyone gonna be able to answer those questions? I mean, none of
Well,
us.
he can answer the sewer, your sewer
Yeah,
question.
what's the
and we're
hundred and
done with it.
$25,000 equipment replacement?
It's for a jet rotter. It's a vac truck with a
couple
cleaning device on
questions,
it.
get him to add
It's
Yeah.
a smaller version of what we have right now, but ours right now is a little bit older and we cannot get parts to replace it, so Sewer Commission wants to invest in a new one right now while we can.
Any salvage value to it or no?
It's almost 30 years old.
Yeah.
I think it's past that lifetime.
You have three funds, right? You have the operating fund, you have the capital fund, and then the assessment fund. Is that assessment been transferred to the debt service, I thought?
I think a component of it does for the new, was it for newly built pipe, I
Right,
believe.
okay.
And so the other component of the debt service comes from
The general.
the operating account, yeah,
Okay.
correct. Yeah, it's broken out in
Yeah,
that way.
for some reason, yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna postpone, we're gonna pause here on sewer and parking. We'll deal with both of those at another time. We're gonna switch to the Great Island Management Fund or Special Revenue Fund. So as I understand this, it's, the budget for that fund this year is $290,000. $100,000 is coming from unused funds from last year, is that right?
101, yep, yeah.
Yeah, so that's the surplus left over from last year when we budgeted 340 and we only used 240.
I think it was from unanticipated rent revenue that we thought the lease was going to end, but it had been extended, so that had kind of added to the fund balance.
Yeah.
So this is $290,000 budget there. Biggest piece of that is groundskeeping, third-party groundskeeping, and I believe plowing as well, right?
Correct, there's 125,000 of groundskeeping, snow removal is 33,000. There's also 80,000 for facility repair and maintenance, which
What are
are
you repairing?
utility repairs.
What are you repairing? What facility are you repairing right now?
The water mains and the underground electric.
Okay.
We've had 2 water main breaks and 1 electric burnout on one of the lines where we replaced about 200 feet of conduit.
And did this line in the past include things that we needed to invest in the different units that we were renting?
The facility maintenance repair account?
Yeah.
Yes.
So like things like the flooding in that one unit or the,
The flooding was one, or the boiler goes down, or, you know,
Yeah.
anything,
On
any
the
type of
house
leak
is
that we
on-
have to
okay.
repair, and we bring a vendor in to do certain work, we paid them out of this account.
and so
That
given
line
that the
item.
leases end in June for that one single unit that's still leased, you don't have anything built into here for next year in terms of like tenant-related maintenance?
No, and the other, I mean, there's 9 buildings out there, one of them is being lived in, but the other ones are still being quote-unquote maintained, if you will, especially during the wintertime.
Yeah.
Don't want to drain the water out of these older pipes
Right.
to repressurize them again, I'm just asking for trouble.
Right.
So we've been trying to at least keep the cost down and just keep the facilities manageable, if you will.
And what do we think, maybe this is a Tony question, but in terms of continuing to pay a third-party service to cut the grass, leaves, and plow, do we think that's still cheaper than doing it ourselves?
Well, the plowing one this year was a little bit higher than normal, but we had 2 storms that were 12 inches. But normally, it was actually a benefit to have someone go in and be able to take care of that. We were shoveling access for oil companies to get in to do maintenance on our boilers and stuff. So having that person do that was kind of a relief, making sure it got done properly and salted properly. The groundskeepers, to be honest with you, we have one guy there. He's there all the time. He takes care of just that facility, that property. 60 acres is a lot. But to be honest with you, it looks fantastic. So if you're looking to set the bar at what your expectations are, I think we've done that in the last couple of years. Just a matter of how you want to move forward. Once we're done with the roadway and the parking lot, I think that's going to be a big time discussion.
Most of the operating expenses are projected to come down, like 14%, right?
Yep.
So I don't really have any comments on the expenditures that we're making here. I'll just make one comment, which I made last year, is that given that we have zero revenue budget into this, right? I would rather see the expenses be part of the general fund budget rather than taking dollars out, putting them into subsidizing a special revenue fund for which there is no revenue other than tax dollars or dollars that were from the prior ones. I'm not suggesting we close the account, but I would rather see those expenses be inside the general fund budget rather than.
If one day this property somehow generates revenue, you can always move back, but.
Well, this benefit though is that it isolates those expenses, so we can understand what it costs us to be maintaining the island, without having to pull it out of each of the different departments. So you can get to the same place by, folding it and pushing it in, but it's still helpful to see
That's true.
in one spreadsheet, what's it cost us to maintain the island.
But I would.
To me, what's the downside of having this? I don't see a downside of just continuing to do it this way. Especially if we end up with revenue and we would have to recreate it.
Well, so again, just to be clear, I'm not suggesting
Close it.
closing the fund, and I am suggesting that any special revenue related solely to Great Island still go into that fund.
Right.
But in terms of the expenses, because the expenses have nothing, because there's no revenue being generated, I would rather see the expenses be in the general fund, and I would rather just see when we pay this company $125,000 to do the groundskeeping, we would just label that on the ledger as groundskeeping Great Island, have a department, so you can still track all the expenses.
But it'd be harder,
Yeah.
because you'd have to actually go look for it instead of it being presented for you.
If we can track a department expenses inside
But
for this, I would rather see it. I would rather see it out because
I don't understand the downside of doing it this way. What's it costing us to do it this way? I have a benefit of doing it this way, I just don't understand.
Yeah, so I don't see any benefit.
Okay.
Right, I see a benefit in tracking costs. I think it'd be great if we could track cost, and I've been asking for this for years. I would like to be able to see what capital we're spending by park. I think it'd be helpful to be able to look at it a year-over-year basis, what we're doing on specific properties, right? So we know what we're investing in those and be able to track it, right? We seem to only be doing that on this one property.
Well, what's the benefit of not extinguishing the fund, but?
I'm not suggesting extinguishing the fund.
I understand, that's why I said.
So one of the downsides.
I don't understand the benefit of what you're proposing. I don't see
One of
any
the
benefit to
downsides
it. And
is-
to me, it makes it harder to find expenses.
Since we're issuing tax exempt bonds, if we run into any issues in terms of, we charge for parking on Great Island and we allow out-of-towners to park, but we charge them at a different rate, then there can be complications in terms of the tax exempt nature of those bonds. Or if we accept donations or grants or certain kind of things that tie our hands in certain ways, it would be beneficial for us to at least have a very segregated way of managing those expenses and revenues, because it's often revenues net of expenses that they kind of look at in their calculation. I personally like having it segregated like this. From an accounting standpoint, it's cleaner to produce reports for people if it's in a separate fund. It doesn't get muddied by the comings and goings, the transfers that happen within the general fund. Yeah.
Isn't it just a question of account coding?
Yeah.
You can produce 2 or 3 reports. When I worked for the Board of Ed, we had one organized by object, personnel, benefits, et cetera. Then we had specific schools, and then facilities budget, and my business office budget and superintendent's budget. Can't we do that and
So-
solve both problems?
So I don't think, I don't think typically groundskeeping gets divided by location that groundskeeping takes place, typically.
Not in my general fund budget, no. Here it does, because that's the way it was set up.
I think we'd end up segregating a lot of billing that doesn't typically get segregated.
Okay, I just don't understand, Jim, what's the advantage of doing what you're proposing?
Well-
What does it produce for the town?
Well, I like to have like a consistent approach. So like, for example, like on Pear Tree Point, we just spent $9 million. We have tax exempt bond proceeds outstanding because of that, or we will here shortly, I should say. And then we have, like we collect permits, like boat launch permits. We collect rent from,
Parking.
well, we sell permits. Beach permits allow you to go to a couple different places, right? I guess you could divide it up 50-50 and so forth, but I'd like to be tracking expenses related to all of our properties to really understand like what the costs are operating each of these properties. I just don't think we need to do it inside of special revenue funds. And I guess I like to just have a consistent approach across all of our
Right,
assets.
we don't do this for the other town properties, town or park
yeah.
properties.
I think the concern is that the plan for Great Island hasn't been completely thought out yet.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah,
And so-
the original intent was this idea that it would kind of be in its own entity
So-
with its own revenue.
And it may still.
It may.
And removing this is hard to rebuild historical data, whereas keeping it, I think you don't lose much. But
No, or we start on a cost of operations basis as we grow. I think it makes sense.
I mean,
Why-
is there any reason we couldn't create a department in the general fund, the same way we have public works, just have a department that said Great Island?
so we could, but that would be the only park with its, well, it's not a park, but it would be the only location with its own, I think it would be the only location with its own department.
Yeah, the same way, I guess this is the only location with its own special revenue fund with no revenue.
Sounds like pretty soon we're gonna have FTEs and everything. But real
Well,
quick,
actually, we're still getting revenue, even if it's not in the budget. We are getting revenue right now
Yeah.
in Great Island. So we're still collecting rent.
Right.
That's going to end, but today it hasn't ended. So we
Yep.
still are getting revenue.
But in fiscal '27, because the lease, I think, ends in the beginning of June.
Again, yeah, I think, I'm sorry, we're creating a lot of work for Josh and the team, and I don't see the benefit of it, and I don't see any downside for just continuing to do it this way. Maybe 5 years from now, when Great Island is more developed, and maybe we'll want to do this for more assets rather than take them away from the asset that we're currently doing it for.
Okay.
But
Well, regarding the actual expenditures, yeah, there is no revenue to talk about. Regarding the expenditures, any comments on those?
why is it only 10 months of groundskeeping?
We don't do groundskeeping during the winter. We take care of that ourselves.
Which 2 months are we not doing it?
It's
Just a
about-
general estimate?
Yeah, it's about $12,000 a month, so.
Where do you see that?
If you expand it.
On
How's it
groundskeeping?
go? Yeah.
Okay, yep, I got it. Okay.
Okay. Okay, any other questions on this? Okay.
I guess it's the converse of why there's only 3.5 months of snow removal service. Oh, I didn't hear you. You can have as many as you want.
Okay, I might suggest that we skip over the
Financial.
financials
Yes.
and just go to, Josh, do we need to close out the
the closeout would be helpful.
Okay.
And I'd kind of like to tie it in as well to like a conversation. I don't know if it's really a policy conversation with the board. You're good, unless you want to stay.
Thanks, Ed.
Thanks, Ed.
There's a cot around the corner.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Folks,
you.
have a good night.
Good night.
So closing it out would be very helpful since if you look at the packet, we're looking to close out about 181,000. And kind of the current process is we close those funds out and they get rolled into the Board of Finance Reserve for Capital within RFCNRE. The number that you have as the total was as of this report was run, so it doesn't take into account the 6,000 that you have just approved. And so from my perspective, that brings it to a total of 633,000 in RFCNRE. That seems a bit high. I think in the past, some of that gets contributed to as revenue to capital projects for the following year. I don't know if the board has kind of like in mind a number that they'd like to bring that contingency down to as we start FY '27. I think 350,000 or so is a safe number in terms of the types of projects that we may fund in current years.
250 or 350?
350?
350.
I think that's a safe number. There's no reason to build a balance there. But when people come with large projects, it's usually bonded. It's rare that people come with 150,000. That's kind of a rarity every year. So that's probably a safe number to keep it at. And that would add in another 250,000 or so into the budget. It would be a good number. I don't know, a good policy to think of for the board, just so we don't have to kind of pay attention to what we want to do every year. We just try to work our way back to 350 or something like that. Yeah, so it would be a nice number to get in, just so we can kind of input it into what our plan is for the coming budget.
Okay, we'll add that to the list. And do you have that built into the scenario manager, how much we want to contribute from our reserve
So
fund?
within the summary page, there is the revenue on RFCNRE. Right now, we haven't decided how much we're drawing from the general fund reserve. And I think it is, I think, typically unused. Let me unhide. Let's just unhide this row. There is a contribution from essentially fund balance. It's not
This would
really.
just increase the fund balance contribution.
So it's,
By-
right. I mean, it's technically not the fund balance because it's in the RFCNRE
Yeah.
capital
It's in
reserve.
capital.
It's like the contribution from capital reserve, essentially. And so that would just lower.
Your simulator has a contribution in that.
So I may have sent out, does the version have like a 200 something or other thousand in there? I think I had, an RFCNRE contribution. I think I put a number in there that I thought.
It was blank, I just meant like the simulator has.
Oh, I put a
for-
spot, I put a spot for it just so we could see, where that gets you. Yeah. But it would be.
Do we have that?
Yeah, that was.
So this is only on the most recent spreadsheet that got sent out to the Board of Finance.
February
The one that-
26th.
This is fancy, by the way.
I appreciate that.
Josh, I think there seems to be a little bit of daylight between the February 26th simulator spreadsheet and the PDF of the budget.
So there
That's-
is, so the PDF that's on the website should be the approved Board of Selectmen, Board of Education, or rather, the recommended budgets from the Board of Ed and Board of Selectmen. The spreadsheets that got sent out is basically the working Board of Finance budget file. So this is kind of where we started, and then moving kind of forward through our budget process, and that's kind of what was approved or recommended,
Okay.
rather.
So can you send out the simulator?
So this should have been sent out. I will resend it out
This was
because
sent out in February.
February
But
26th.
is this the February 26th model?
this may have been slightly tweaked and updated, and I'll send it
Yeah,
tomorrow.
I think there's a little bit daylight between what you sent us on
Sure.
February
Okay.
26th.
So ignore it.
Every day, there gets something
Yeah.
added to it, so
Okay.
absolutely.
And I forwarded the spreadsheet to everybody that you forwarded to me, because I don't remember seeing that.
Yeah, I think that's, yeah. So let's just make sure we have one of these that
The
has
most up-to-date,
the Board
for
of
sure.
Ed and Board of Selectmen actual in it.
Yes.
And then maybe you keep a running tab of any changes that were,
So we will be keeping in like the Board of Finance changes, a typical list that we have. When you go to the simulators, on the right side will be what was actually approved just as, oops, sorry, that's going down, as a reference. And then as you kind of tweak numbers on the left side, you'll be able to see your tweaks versus the reference,
Oh, that's good.
just right in front of it.
yeah, so I think the only adjustment we have is the,
So there's a couple of things that haven't been changed yet. Obviously, expenditure adjustments, you'll figure out as you go through the process. I added a debt service adjustment. This is about the difference, but this is not taking into account any changes that we made with expected bond premiums, so I wouldn't put too much faith in that number yet. Determining the RFCNRE contribution from the general fund and from the contingency account, and whatever our projected surplus is, and this is kind of just an impact on the fund balance and the percentage of revenues that would be. So I'll resend this out to everyone.
Is that first column,
The
column
the first column,
D, is that last year?
this is, yeah, adopted last
Okay,
year.
great.
So I'll send out, it
yeah.
gets updated.
Josh, I can confirm what he sent us on the 26th. The only difference between, Josh, what you have right now, like down to the penny, is that 614,000.
Yeah. There have been other changes, so I'll keep feeding it out.
Yep.
But while we're on this, as we're going through the department budgets, we should be using the spreadsheet, not the PDF, but the spreadsheet and the intraweb capital summary.
Sure, yeah, the
Are those the
numbers.
two relevant documents?
Correct. The numbers haven't changed between them.
They're just-
Essentially, the spreadsheet's fed through our accounting software that has the budget numbers in it, until the board, once the Board of Selectmen voted on it, it got entered into the software and then updated like that.
But the spreadsheet versus the PDF, the spreadsheet allows you to go into more detail.
It does allow, yeah,
PDF.
the PDF doesn't include the within a line item,
Right.
the components
That's
that
my
make it
point.
up, just
Right.
because it would
And
have,
then the explanation all the way to the right.
Yeah.
it
which
would
is
have
very
been
helpful.
hundreds of pages. Yeah. So
Okay.
it would be helpful to kind of vote on the closeout numbers, just
Yep.
because that would be, yeah.
Yeah, but I only have one question, which is the one I proposed to Ed and should have proposed to Jen, which is, why did we ask for $75,000 to repave the Nature Center driveway and then not need it?
I think-
And it says didn't need it.
I think, I believe,
Or didn't do it.
was this this was the beginning of the study to look at the parking, the parking in that one area?
So instead of
Yes.
And I
paying for the
believe
paving, they're
it-
using it for the traffic, or the
Well, so I don't think,
visitor.
I don't think the board had wanted to move forward with reconstruction of that parking lot, so I think this project kind of died. I think it's kind of been reborn in the ADA component
Okay.
for Parks and Rec that they've been looking at.
That was my only question.
I think we
This-
cut back a lot of the paving, right?
No, but we
Because they-
approved, I remember having this conversation, because I think we had Parks and Rec, and I was like, and I went over there and looked at it, said, okay, we approved it. And then I'm reading that
I
we
think this
didn't
was,
need it.
I think this was for
That's all.
study and engineering, not the project cost itself.
I
But
think
once they
yes.
began the study and engineering, and like some light patchwork, I think was included in this. And so I think they did some light patchwork,
Yeah, no,
and
I
then it
understand.
was,
I think it was Nature Center paving, 75,000. I don't remember there being a study in it, but that's okay. All right, yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Accept a motion to close out all of the capital accounts totaling $181,291.41 as outlined in item 6 here on our agenda. Jenny moves. Paul seconds. All those in favor? Unanimous.
Okay.
Do you want to skip over the financial report? There's nothing that's really jumps out. The only thing I would call attention to is we've kind of been keeping an eye on other taxes, which had been hit by litigation. It got hit again by kind of a big settlement. That was about $163,000 on the federal realty assessed value. So that's now at 4% of the budgeted amount. I mean, the tax collector side of it is trending on where we would expect it to be on budget, but just these kind of litigations have pushed it back. That's really the only outlier here that I'd really point at.
Also, we got our first excess cost reimbursement payment at the end of February, and that was $1,783,460. That's normally 75% of what we could expect to get. If you extrapolate that out, it's $2,377,947 for the year, which would be $222,561 in excess of what was budgeted.
Okay.
So the reimbursement was budgeted at 70%, which is reasonable. My calculations is it's coming in at a little over 77%.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
March 1st, the special ed department has to file their final filing for the year, and so that may change a little bit.
Also, speaking of grants, we received our TAR payment. We had budgeted $337,000, but received $455,000, so that took about a 30% or so increase.
What payment is that?
TAR, Town Aid Road. It's money we take into the general funds to offset some typically DPW and paving expenditures.
Okay. Well, last item here is going to be to approve the minutes from our regular meeting of February 10th. Any comments on that? Okay. I'll accept the motion to approve the Board of Finance regular meeting minutes from February 10th, 2026. Dan moves. Jenny seconds. All those in favor? Unanimous. Accept the motion to adjourn. Jenny moves. Dan seconds. All those in favor? Stand adjourned.